Good evening, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, is it at half mast? Is that how they lower it to half
I think
mast?
maybe it broke. I don't know. Let's check it. I make a motion to open up the public hearing.
You want to take roll call first?
Do you want me to open it up and then, or just do roll call first?
Roll call first.
Okay, can we
Case
do
you
roll?
vote.
Okay, can we do roll call, please?
Supervisor McGlasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Present.
Councilman Tempori?
Here.
Councilman Ruthven?
Here.
Councilman Boyd?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Okay, I make a motion to open up the public hearing for the budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we were given a bunch of questions on the budget, so I think we're going to start there first, and then if there's other public comment, then everyone can come up after that. So I invite our highway superintendent up to start with the questions that we have. We'll just go down right in order. We're going to go down right in order, so Richie's going to start, and
So, one and eight.
number 1.
And 8 at the same time.
Oh, I think you had a couple of them, yes, okay.
It's noisy.
It's echoing, right? Why is it echoing? I guess so. Oh, you want me to, okay. Okay. We'll read the questions and then we'll answer as we go through, that way if everyone doesn't have the questions. Okay, so then we can have Yulia, do you want to start? So the first, it says, firstly, the general fund has increased by $850,000. We would like a breakdown of this increase to understand how these additional funds are allocated. So let's let Yulia answer that. It's before number 1. So.
Okay,
But don't go far.
So the 800,000 that you're referring to is not at the increase in the budget. That's not an increase, it's not an increase in the appropriations. That's the increase in the levy. So the increase in the appropriations would be, so in 2024, total general fund appropriations were $11,837,000. I mean, half of the increase is for the ambulance, the EMS services.
Is going to the general fund, that's, so you're taking those.
Yeah, so 450,000 is EMS. That's something that was not in the budget in the past. What?
Yeah, anyone speaking, have a mic,
Yeah,
because it's not getting on the. I'm standing up next to it.
that's fine.
No?
Sorry. Okay, so you're saying the 850 includes the 450 for the ambulance? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And the rest of the increase is payroll increases, benefits. Is another cost of operations of the town.
Okay, all right, okay. I guess we'll just.
Now, Richie, do you want to start with number 1?
The item is highway budget increase. The question was asked, the highway budget has increased by 8.35%, or over $317,875. Would you provide a detailed description of what accounts for this increase?
okay. I didn't see this till Friday night. I saw someone in ShopRite. They said you guys increased my budget by 8.35%. I did a little jig in the aisle. I didn't know you did. All right. This is not true. I went back and I looked at the budget and I didn't really know what was going on, so I reviewed everything. And The way the budget lines were read, it was misread. It's being read in reverse. The Highway Department got an increase of less than 1%. The 8.35% is the difference between the tax levy and the taxes incurred from last year. Am I incorrect with saying that? All right, the Highway Department in 2024 ran on $4,019,981. This year, it is budgeted for $4,123,943, which is less than 1%. So the Highway Department is getting less than 1% raise. We are not getting an 8.35% raise. Those last two columns, I can understand why, if you're not used to looking at budgets, why you would get confused with that, because it says 8.35% increase, but that's the difference, the shortfall of the tax levy, and that's a result of all those years of zero increases. And that's why we're getting hit so hard, because we had, I don't know, 6 or 7 years of zero increases, and it had to come out. I mean, when I do my own budget of my house, I do not have a 0% increase every year. I save more money, whatever I got to do. So it's less than 1%, and with that, I have to do a lot less, or do a lot, at least do the same with my money. I'll give you, for instance, blacktop since 2020 has gone up 75%. It goes with the fuel index. So for every mile of road I paved in 2020, I could pave a mile of road for $100,000. Now to mill and pave a mile of road, it's $175,000. That's an industry standard, right across the board. So I'm a lot less productive. Believe me, I'd love to pave the whole town, and I'm sure they'd love to give me the money to do it, but it's just the cost since the whole COVID fiasco. Fuel is up 29%. Parts, and this is from the Cornell, from the New York State Highway Superintendents Association. New York State average parts are up 39%. I order stuff, and there's still a small supply chain issue where certain things we order, we can't get it, and a lot of times I can't go to my approved vendor that I'm allowed to buy from because they don't have it, or they'll tell me it won't be in until 90 days or 120 days, and meanwhile I had your street ripped up trying to put pipe in, or whatever, I have a truck down, there's a snowstorm coming, I gotta fix it. So that's just a fact of life. It's, the parts part is 27% nationwide, that goes across the whole nation, but New York State, it's 39%, and I buy stuff off of, I usually piggyback off the state list, the federal list, or a county list. Very rarely do I piggyback off to a fellow town because they're really not, the bids are not as well written as they are on a county or a state or a federal level. So I am getting the lowest price for whatever I can for whatever parts. I'm buying military equipment. I bought stuff from an auction house. And I'll give you, for instance, a brand new plow truck. The big plow trucks, they're over $250,000. They're like $330,000 for a new plow truck. A big truck, I mean, that's $250,000. That's a lot of money. So what my guys are doing right now, we're putting new heads on the old trucks. We're rebuilding the engines. I'm sending them out to get painted. And I'm trying to hang on to everything I can. But that's just the cost of, it's just a fact of life. It's just, I just want to get all my notes here. Make sure, because I usually go home and I say, damn it, I didn't say that.
Can we let you sit down, Richie?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we let you sit down? You've explained that you haven't increased your expenses.
I just take it too personal.
But look,
Well, I have other items you want me.
I have this document which is off the...
You gotta speak, if you wanna
You have to
speak.
go to the microphone.
Does anybody want to use mine?
This is more simple. This statement is off the town's website. It's got a Kent Town Clerk stamp on it. And it says that in 2025, there's a column here that says amount to be raised by taxation. And the total's $13,895,911, which includes an amount to be raised for taxation for the Highway Department, $4,123,943.
Correct, see that's my new budget.
it's not your budget, it's the tax levy. And the tax levy last year for the highway department was $3,806,068. Now, you've stated correctly, I think, that your expenditures haven't risen. The last year they were $4,866,736. This year they're $4,895,823. It's a tiny increase in expenses. So why the hell, Madam Supervisor, has the tax levy for the highway department risen by $317,000?
That's the
That-
8.3.
That,
It must be a reduction in revenues from somewhere.
No. No, it's the fact that over the last 10 years, there have been very little, only in the last couple of years.
Okay, don't try and
So-
confuse us with that.
No.
No,
So what
you have to
do-
be respectful when you're up here. We want to answer your questions, but you can't tell the highway
I just need to
superintendent to
finish.
stop talking or interrupt our accountant. Thanks.
Let me just finish. So you have a budget with your appropriations, and then you need to get to the budget, right? Because we need to have a balanced budget.
You have a budget of expenses,
Right, so
you
we
have a budget of
expenses.
revenue.
Let me finish, right? So our revenues are mostly coming from the tax levy. And
Yeah.
then we also had savings. We had a fund balance.
Reserves, yes.
Right, so over the last 10 years, we've been able to balance the budget with reserves. But the
And I-
reserves eventually run out.
Well, they get
They've,
reduced.
no,
yeah.
they've run out.
Um,
Because if you don't replenish the fund balance, if you don't have a surplus,
Yeah,
and if you don't replenish the fund balance, there's no more fund balance. Savings are gone. So if the savings are gone, but we have to balance our budget,
right.
there's the only mathematically possible way to do that is to increase the tax levy, unfortunately.
So that's our answer, Richie.
She's smarter than me.
Yeah, but also, I notice in the budget, though, when I looked at the details, that there is a transfer of $700,000 from the general expenses into the highway department as well. So in addition to balancing the budget by drawing down, by replenishing the reserves, we've also transferred $700,000, which is in the $12,691,000
Correct.
of
It's
expenses.
the same as last year as well.
Okay,
And it's a highway and
Okay.
general fund are one tax base, same
Yeah.
tax base. It's a townwide budget
Yeah.
for those two funds.
so you've done very well, I think, considering everything that's going on in the world today. Thank you.
I have a question for Richie.
Yes.
You said you were buying military.
And could everyone please state their name for the record?
My name is Andrew Elliott. Richie, you said that you were purchasing military equipment. Can you tell us what kind of military equipment and why you're purchasing it, please?
Sure. The two big items I purchased was, you probably see it, the big General Pattons around town and the Colonel Luddington. I got those for, I believe, $4,500 for a $300,000 truck. I got it for $4,500, and it had 7,500 miles on it.
Because it's surplus, right, Richie?
It's surplus.
military
It got it from New
surplus.
York State, and that's an all-wheel drive truck. It pulls our excavator, our skid steer around, and then I had a two-wheel drive, another big tractor that pulls the roller and the other equipment around. I got a forklift for free, a big rubber-tired forklift. I got I got trailers. I got a bunch of stuff. I'll tell you, when I first got here, I can't believe it's 11 years ago, the town of Kent Highway Department did not have a trailer. We didn't own a trailer. Louis Strickland would drive the paver. If we had a paver road in western Kent, he would spend the whole day driving the paver across the town. It was ridiculous. So I bought the trailers. We're mobile. We can get anywhere. If somebody has a complaint out on Wangtown Road or over on Horton Town, we can get over there that morning. We can get over there. So I bought that. the auction house upstate, we recently bought a van for the sign truck. I bought another pickup. We bought a small bucket truck for trees. And my plan is to keep the pickups and the small trucks, I'm gonna look to buy from auction houses from now on, because we really can't afford, a pickup truck is $80,000 now, and that's government price. And our big trucks I'm rebuilding because we can't afford to spend $250,000 on one big truck that's, not gonna last forever. The only trucks that I spoke to the board about replacing are our Dodge 5500s. Those are the ones that I use especially in Lake Carmel because they fit on the small roads. They're very strong little trucks and they're affordable. But even those trucks, I bought my first one, I think in 2016 or 17, it was $78,000. The same exact truck right now, and I'm asking approval tonight to get one after this, is $148,000 since 2016. It's more than doubled. It's the prices out there are crazy. So my plan is to rebuild the big trucks, repair whatever we can. The small trucks, I think we can survive from the auction houses. I think 5 years ago, I lucked out. Sue Serino gave me a grant. We were able to buy 3 brand new 3500 Dodge plow pickups, big heavy duty trucks. We got those for free. Those are most of the blue ones you see driving around. So yeah, I'm doing what I can to keep the fleet going, but we can't do the work unless I have the trucks. And I take pride in the trucks. I scream at the guys if they're not clean, if they're not, kept up. But I think you can visibly see the work we're getting done. We're getting a lot of work done in the town. I'm sorry.
So first I want to say thank you because you are doing a phenomenal job with the town, I have to say. I'm here 25 years. The roads have never been paved, and from what I understand, they weren't paved for 15 years before I bought the house. So, you are doing a great job. What would you say, last question, other than the $150,000 you're asking for tonight, what would you say you spent this past year on equipment to fix whatever? How much would you say that you spent military equipment, whatever? A round number, if you had it.
Military equipment this year, I think we spent about $60,000 on those 3 trucks. The bucket truck, the van, and the pickup.
Okay.
I think we spent $60,000.
They weren't military though, they were auction equipment, not
They were
military.
government.
But, no, I got that, but I get it, listen, I looked at pickups, he's not wrong. I looked at a pickup 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it was 50-something thousand, that pickup's $80,000 now. It's crazy, and I get that. Is it possible to get a pickup like that or a plow truck like that at $550 from a military auction? From a surplus, is it something, is that something that's
It's a
problem is
crapshoot.
we're coming in.
It's hit or miss.
We're coming into
Yeah.
to the cold weather now, that's the problem.
We're ready for snow. I'm ready. We have a good
I'm
fleet
sure,
now.
I'm not
But
surprised.
it's a crapshoot what's available. That's why the board had given me permission to spend money on military stuff, because if I see it, if I don't jump
Yeah,
on it,
jump
it's
on it.
gone.
I got you.
By the time I come back for approval, somebody else is grabbing it.
I just want to
appreciate
add
it.
something to what Richie's just saying, because I've been sitting in this chair for a long time. When Richie came on board, the fleet was in pretty poor condition, and Richie has been so creative and innovative in finding ways to save money. He's the one who found out about the government surplus vehicles and Auctions International, and he's done really well with those things, so I think he deserves some congratulations for that.
I just have a question. You said you were going to ask for money for a truck tonight, yes?
I'm not going to ask for money. I'm going to ask to buy it. Not on the budget. It's money's coming
He's
from
going to
somewhere
sell
else.
some stuff and then use the
And get some
proceeds.
stuff?
Yeah.
Because I thought, I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken, years ago when you got the $6 million bond, that we're paying the $700,000 off every year,
3.2 million.
I thought it was $6 million and that,
Highway was 3.2.
and then you got another one after that?
We got one for the, what did we get for the roads, Lake Carmel?
$1.5 million or something? Okay, because I thought in there you had like a 5-year plan, and I thought that you were trying to, now 11 years, you've gotten new trucks and everything, that we kind of were good.
You have to, any proper fleet replacement program is every year, I have a big mouth, so everyone can hear me. You have to replace 1 or 2 items every year on a consistent basis. If you don't do that, it just catches up with you. I'm sure the transportation department at the school does it. You just have to do it. You have to have a constant flow, because if you don't do it and you wait 5 or 6 years, it just catches up and it just kicks you in the butt. You really got to do it. But we also, We have a brand-new garage. We renovated the old garage. We put the addition on. Me and my guys, we did all the mason work and the stone work and the brickwork ourselves. I don't know who's been down to the yard or not, but it's a good highway yard. Before that, it was disgusting. My first winter there, the salt dome collapsed, and I found out it was the third time it collapsed. And they just kept rebuilding the same thing, and then I find a letter from the DEC. We were mandated to build a solid structure, and the town never built a solid structure. So now we have a salt dome. We're following the law. We have, with MS4, those who are not familiar with it, it's the phosphorus control for the runoff of all the nutrients and everything in the soil that are causing Lake Carmel to have green algae and the other lakes. We have a complete drainage system now in the yard. So when the trucks walk, no matter how much you clean them or whatever, there's still salt in it, there's still residue tar, there's oils and stuff. It all goes into this drainage system, and it goes to 2 separation tanks, and they have skimmers in them, and we separate the pollutants, and we have to have a company come in, and they have to take that pollutants away. But we're compliant with, the DEC is a big thing that this town's got to deal with. I mean, they're over your shoulder with everything, and you got to comply with them. But we've come light years, and Nancy, thank you for your kind words, but I couldn't have done it without this board. I put them in a tough situation. I went this year I had a whole little Christmas list for you guys, and basically they threw me out of the office and said, no, Richie, you're not getting anything this year. So they get a lot of credit too for working. We work very closely together, and I've been lucky enough. I've worked pretty closely with most of our boards. But anyway, anything else?
Yes, Rich, you mentioned MS4. You have an additional cost because of that, the MS4?
Oh, God, yeah. I just got word now. We have 1,000 catch basins in Kent. They want me to do a written report twice a year on each basin. They want me to go out and look and say this basement's 30% full, this one's 25% full, actions taken. Our vac truck is dying. We got it from the county years ago. It's dying. So we have to hand shovel the basins out. There's no way with 20 guys in my crew that I can go out and hand shovel 1,000 basins. It's not doable. And Albany is kind of out of touch. There's not enough boots on the ground to do the physical work. And there's money that we're trying. I'm working with the town board right now. In the county, it's called WQIP money, Water Quality Improvement Program. And there's $2.2 million sitting in the county coffers right now. And the county commissioner is ready to buy 3 vac trucks, and he will give one to Kent because we have the most New York City watershed land in the county. We have 70% of our property. That's why we can't build a birdhouse in this town. 70% of our property is watershed land. So we have the most, so the county would dedicate one of the trucks to us. The DEC came out and they said they will only fund 60% of it. The other 40%, they want the county and the town of Kent to fund. Now, I'm going to fight tonight to get a plow truck and a little dump truck that we can use for our regular jobs. How am I going to ask them for $200,000 for a vac truck, and that's not, that's 60% of it, that I'm not going to use every day? It's just going to sit there for the rest of the year. So, I mean, they really can't give it to me, and I'm kind of, no, I can't ask them for it. So right now, we're fighting, we're not fighting, the county is doing good work on this. They're thinking of just buying it and letting the DEC come after us, because all we're doing is cleaning up, the money's sitting in the bank. Give us the money, give us the truck, and we'll keep the water clean. So I don't know if that's your answer, but the MS4, it's necessary. I want clean water. Everybody wants clean water, but the mandates are unrealistic, and they're putting a lot of pressure on my department. I get calls that there's a tree ready to fall down across the road, and meanwhile I got to go clean a catch basin out and write a report on it. It's crazy.
So can I just interrupt you for 1 second? So we're
Yes.
talking about the MS4 requirements and how much they've increased and how we've had to do more work. So this also goes along with number 10 on the questions. I just want to address it since we're discussing it. So the stormwater budget variability. We noticed that the stormwater budget fluctuates significantly. This is why it's significantly fluctuating. since we're answering it, it's just better to go there so that we make sure we address everything. Okay?
Is there other questions for Richie on?
There are, we're just gonna skip ahead though to answer his questions first. Well, we'll go to 8. 8 is about the scrap metal. Is this budget item specific to the town, or does it also apply to Lake Carmel sanitation? I'll take that and then you can finish if you want to. So there's 2 separate lines. When 2 separate vendors. One is for Lake Carmel and one is for the highway. So they're not the same lines. They're going into their own separate accounts, so. Right, you have your own,
Yeah, oh,
Highway
yeah,
has its own, and Lake Carmel has its own.
The sanitation takes all the Lake Carmel stuff down. They take care of theirs, and I have a dumpster with a different company for the highway yard. We fill it with the metal pipe, any kind of mechanical stuff.
2 different companies, 2 different lines.
Yeah, they use, and we use Baroni. They come and they get the trailer. And also, I don't know, the tonnage, like, once in a while, I will run stuff down the Breer where they go. If I have, sometimes we'll get something on the side of the road that we have to rip out or whatever. The cost of the dumping stuff since 2020 has gone up 40% at Breer on Route 100. It's a 40% increase. And I'm sure that's affecting.
That's about what it's gone up. For sanitation, the fees have increased. They went from $95.50 a ton in 2020 to now we're at $133.86 a ton. So it's about a 40% increase.
40% increase in that. And I feel that too sometimes. And then
And we
you
used
wanna-
to make money.
We used to make money to recycle. Now we have to pay for
I still make money.
Oh, yeah.
I make about $3,500 a year on scrap metal.
Oh, not the scrap metal, we're talking about recycling, like,
Oh.
they used to give us money. They don't give us money anymore.
You're saying for the metal, we're not paying?
No, well, that's why we have a company that takes it, but even the recycling, we used to get reimbursed for things, right, Yulia? And now we get we pay them.
Why does that change and when?
That's,
Say 20s,
let me see if I, oh.
It was 2018. I remember the former chief of sanitation would come with a check. He's like, oh, this is our money for it, because recycling was like a commodity, the recyclables. And we used to get a small check. And then that changed. It was probably around 2017, 2018, where then we had to pay to bring, so we pay either Beacon Recycling or, what's the other, Win Waste?
Win Waste.
Win Waste, to take the stuff.
And it changed for every company. No one's paying anymore for it.
Right.
They're all charging.
Yeah, basically it flooded the market with plastics, extra plastics. One time they could do something with them, but now there's so much of it, there's no value to it.
Yeah, but what about the metal?
No,
The metal we're still getting the money for.
Yeah, but not the
But it's
recycling.
just scrap. It's not a bulk check like we used to get, like a commodity. It was almost like a commodity, but it's not, it's still a commodity, but it doesn't have a value.
Sue Kotzer. So when you say recycling, you're talking about cardboard, newspapers, things like that?
I mean, whatever the sanitation would take that was in their recyclables.
Glass?
Glass,
Plastic?
right,
Okay,
plastics.
that kind of recycling.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Landfill?
Do you want to go to number, yeah, do you want to go to
Yeah, the
number one?
landfill's my last item. Yes, 80,
So,
what is it?
let me read it. Landfill expenses, last year, 87,000 was allocated for landfill expenses despite no major storms. We understand the highway superintendent was required to clean up the landfill due to previous dumping and tree removal. For 2025, the landfill budget is 35,000, but the landfill only requires mowing. Would you clarify this allocation?
Yes, that's still from the July 2023 storm. We laid out for that. I had the DEC, we have to keep the landfill clean now. So we had I forget the size of it, a huge pile of trees and brush. We had to call in what do you call it,
Tub grinder.
a tub grinder, and grind it all up in the wood chips, and we had to truck all the wood chips out. So that's the cost of that. But the good news is that was put into my FEMA claim, for the storm, and so far, we've gotten $1.2 million back, the highway department from that storm, and Yulia and I, possibly, we're gonna get it, another about $250,000 to $270,000 back from the FEMA storm. And that's a lot of work. FEMA is just, they don't wanna give you the money, but you gotta fight for every penny, but we're gonna have almost $1.5 million back from that storm, so they sent us 3 or 4 checks already, and as it dribbles in, it reinforces these accounts. But that reflects the storm, the cleanup.
And what's the 35,000 for?
35, where's that, Kathy?
That's in the budget. That's,
In the budget, they budgeted 35,000 for 25.
Oh. Yeah, we're gonna have to hire a tub grinder every year now. We're just gonna, Trenton's really the only show in town up in Stormville, but we have to bring them in every year and grind every, I mean, it's Lake Carmel, it's town-wide, it's the Parks Department.
What do you need to do?
So just to clarify, the highway department and everybody else, they cut trees year-round around roads and everything. The landfill is still the location where all those trees end up. So every year, a tub grinder has to be rented, and everything has to be ground up to meet the DEC requirements of that. So that's the staging area that highway brings everything to.
So why aren't we taking the good wood, like the hardwood, splitting it and selling it to the residents?
Well, you can't sell it, but
Or give it to the residents, you can't, you're not paying it.
it's hard to do that because we did look into it, but what happens is the risk, you'd have to put it in a certain area where it was safe, because you don't know what huckleberry's gonna come in, you don't know if the guy's gonna have a log roll on him and break his leg or whatever, and then we're getting sued. So, I mean, it would be great to do that, but we're not at that stage yet, because we were supposed to do up the landfill in 1986, and we're still on it, and we're slowly moving off. We have the new land next to the highway yard, and we're developing a whole series of bins, storage bins, to put logs in, to put chips in. With the blacktop, any blacktop or concrete we dig up on a pipe job now, in the old days, they would just backfill it with a new pipe and just bury it. You can't do that anymore. We have to bring that down to Lawton Adams, and they regrind it into roadbed. And I had to show a bunch of, I have to show receipts to DEC that we did that.
Let me ask you another question about the roads. You said it was 175,000 per mile. Are you just using that as a number, or is that an actual?
That's ballpark. Some roads are 20 feet wide, some are 24 feet wide.
Have you looked into asphalt reclaiming? Where they run the machine over it, they heat it up, they do it in Como.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
I know mailboxes and stuff like that, but hey, if it's cheaper, why not a mailbox?
Yeah, I looked into that, and when I first got here, Terry Entreri, great guy, he worked for, what is it called, Peckham, I call it Colprovia, Peckham Materials, and the roads they did, we just redid White Pond about 4 or 5 years ago. There's several roads they did, it doesn't last. And you want to try to shoot for at least a 20-year lifespan. And we have 216 lane miles of roads in Kent, second only to Carmel. Carmel is the only out of the 6 towns in Putnam County that have more road mileage than us. They have practically twice our budget, they have twice the manpower, they have a tax base. So we've been averaging about 7 or 8 center lane miles. So if I'm averaging about 15 miles of road a year, do the math, divide that into 216. And, I mean, like I said, the stupidest thing I did a couple of months ago is I put down the roads in Lake Carmel I was gonna pave. Because everybody whose road was not on that list, they were calling me, they wanted to kill me. But it's a matter of, I just try to be fair and deem which are the worst roads. But it's hard to explain that to somebody when they're paying $15,000 in, land tax, school taxes, and the mortgage and everything. They're trying to raise a family. It's hard. I mean,
What would you say the cost per mile is to do a reclaiming instead of a repaving?
I don't have that figure, but our roads have to be milled because there's been so many layers on them. I'll do a core sample first of the road, and sometimes I'll find 5 or 6 layers. They just keep paving over, and that's why in Lake Carmel now I mill everything first, because it's gotten so many layers that people are trying to get into their driveways, and they're going over these humps, and they're ripping the bottom of their cars out. This is,
Richie, I think the other important thing that you've been doing is, as you went from road to road to road, is you've done all the pipes, because all the pipes were rotted and neglected for all these years. So, there's a case where he's going through prepping, and we saw it last year down on West Lake Road on Lake Carmel. He went all the way around that whole edge of that road and redid every pipe before he came in and started paving it. Yeah.
well, if you don't have the right drainage, the water freezing is what's gonna wreck the road.
Absolutely.
And it's like 20 times more expensive to rebuild a road than to maintain a road.
Okay.
I spoke
Thank
to
you.
Mark.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go back up to the top. Okay, let's see. Number 2, Lake Carmel Park District, the budget has risen by 18.67. We would appreciate a breakdown of this cost and clarification on the $340,445 allocated on page 43, including an itemized account of expenses in the Lake Carmel Park District. Additionally, we notice a decrease in funds for lifeguards. Can you explain this reduction? So, the big piece of that is, like we discussed, that the sanitation fees have increased significantly.
The sanitation budget's going up also, right?
Yes,
Right, but the 340 is.
So that 18.67 includes the sanitation? No.
The 340 is on the line for Lake Carmel, we didn't put them together. 340 was on page 43? Yes.
Lake Carmel. So that's with like the lifeguards.
Right.
Oh, the bridge, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that was like 262,000 of the 340. And engineering costs that go along with that.
With the 260.
So that's going to be reimbursed by FEMA. 'cause
Okay,
that's-
so FEMA was gonna pay
Well, they're going to pay.
$689,000 for the bridge.
Yes.
FEMA was going to pay $689,000 for the $769,000 bridge.
Correct.
Are you saying then add 262?
No, that's part of it. That's part of it. We didn't pay all of the, this was our first payment for the actual bridge, installing it in. That's part of it.
Okay, but
It's
you're
part of
saying,
the six
how much was
something.
the engineers?
Do you want-
If you don't know off the top of your head, Julie, you can get back to
I can
her.
get back to you.
Okay.
I think we provided you the engineering costs last time. But
Okay,
I can look- I can
I'm
look
just saying
up
that the
again.
engineering costs on top of the bridge that was contracted out for
Right.
789. So let's say even the engineering was 100,000, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, I don't know what the total is.
We are going to be getting reimbursement as well, though, for the engineering.
okay, we're gonna get the 689 from FEMA plus more?
Yes, plus more.
Okay, that's what I'm
The
asking.
689 is the base, that's the least amount we will be
Okay.
getting. We will be getting more, but nothing is, the FEMA.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
689 plus monies for engineering.
Yes.
We're just asking for clarifications here.
Yeah, so
Okay.
but the 340 includes some of that money for the bridge that we will be reimbursed for.
So then-
Why is it in the budget?
That was my
Because we-
question, is that why would we
We
go
don't
up
have-
18.67 if we don't have to? If we're getting that FEMA, we shouldn't be going up. I mean,
Once
you're
the
killing us.
FEMA, once the FEMA money is obligated, the revenue will get accrued, and it'll offset the expense, which will hopefully happen before the end of the year or shortly after. It will be an accrued revenue, and then it's only a matter of receiving the cash. So it will eliminate.
Okay, accrued revenue, but like it will go into the budget, it won't help us as
Correct.
taxpayers.
Right.
I mean, it will offset what we've spent for the bridge, for that storm.
What you spent on the bridge.
Correct.
Right, so why are the taxpayers offsetting what?
Can you reserve your questions and
You have to come up,
The people at home can't hear anything
Well, I'm
you're
not,
saying.
the taxes are not going, the tax,
Kathy, finish your questions and then you can ask
the,
yours.
the.
excuse me, sir, everything is posted on the website.
Well, I'm going to.
The tax, so the budget for Lake Carmel Park District, the budget, again, the same issue as highway, is not going up by 18.6%. That's the levy. The budget is going up by 5%. Salaries, and other costs that are part of the operating budget of Lake Carmel.
But you're putting, the lifeguards are reducing?
Well, we feel that that's a,
I mean, the lifeguards, that's what the board, nobody
yes,
had.
we felt like we could lower
We
that.
thought they could lower that.
Okay.
Do better scheduling, rotate the beaches more, just, we feel that we can lower that salary,
Well,
that's
We have to
why.
cut corners someplace.
Right, that's,
And I think you've been at most of the meetings and know
Yeah,
that
I
we've-
wasn't here the last meeting.
But we've
No,
taken
like-
over the last couple of years,
Yes.
we've taken the Lake Carmel Parker Advisory Board recommendations on lifeguards, and that's what we've hired and how, as many beaches as we opened. And I think they saw that we didn't need that much, so now their new recommendation is less lifeguards.
Good, okay.
Okay. Let me start by saying, let me start by asking, when was this budget put on the website? Because it wasn't there 2 days ago.
no, it was, we've been working on the budget since August. We've had open meetings, they've been advertised, the public has been there, people that are in the audience right now have been at our meetings. It's been discussed for the past few months, every time we had the supervisor's budget, that was posted on there, then the adopted budget, they've all been posted on there.
I can't find any of them. I think I'm a pretty sharp guy when it comes to websites. I mean, I do.
No, it's on the finance page.
On the
If
finance
you go to
page.
the finance
Okay, let me ask
page,
you this
it's
question,
okay.
okay? How come the October 29th meeting hasn't been uploaded to the website yet?
October 29.
It's on YouTube, so the whole world could see it, but the town residents don't know where it is. They can't find it. So I'm wondering why it's not there.
On the website?
Well, it wasn't there when I left my house at 6:30. It still wasn't there. And I've been checking probably 2 or 3 times a day for the last 2 weeks. So I'm wondering how come this budget, you're talking about how,
Every meeting is put up by our IT department.
Could you see if it's on? I thought-
except this one meeting where there were questions about the budget and what was going on. Okay, so now that we know that that's an issue, okay, let's
Well,
look
no,
at the...
sir,
no
it's
one's
not an issue.
conceded that that's an
It's not an
issue.
issue.
It is an issue.
It is
It's
an
not an
issue.
issue.
I don't,
It's also in the
I would
newspaper.
appreciate it if you'd like respect that you give some first, okay?
And you will get it once you give it.
I have not been
You
disrespectful.
just
I have
said,
not
now
been-
we know that's an issue,
Well, there
like
is an
they're
issue.
hiding
There is an
information
issue.
from you.
There is an
So this
issue.
is what happens.
There absolutely is an
Then
issue.
you need to
The
look
issue
Okay,
is I'm
excuse
looking
me,
for the last 2.5
excuse
weeks and
me,
can't find it.
excuse me. Thank you.
Oh, I know you're not yelling at me, Jamie.
Well, I know that you're being rude and disrespectful, and
Rude
you
and
need to stop.
disrespectful.
I'm
This
going to
budget is out of control.
I'm trying to
okay?
explain something to you. So what happens is, they video our meetings, right? So we have a videographer, they are done, you submit something, not you, I'm sorry, but Paul, submit something to our IT department. The IT department is then responsible for placing them on the website.
And how
Lana-
long do you think that takes to do?
She's trying to explain it to
The
you.
minutes are
I'm not
coming.
talking to you,
The
thank you. I'm
meetings are-
talking
Listen
to
to her
Jamie.
then.
I know how long it takes. I do it for a living,
Don't-
okay?
I'm not threatened by
How long do you
you.
think that takes?
Sir, the October
I mean, it should
29th,
take,
they're on
it should
the
take,
website.
it wasn't
So
there.
it's
it
not
wasn't
an
there
issue.
before. It
Sir,
wasn't
it's
there.
been on there.
It
We didn't
hasn't.
just put it
Where
on
is
now
Tell me
because-
where it is.
Under
Yeah.
the 2024 town board meeting minutes. I usually put
hiding
them
with
on
the
within
budget.
a week. I have
Where's
to
the
wait.
video? I'm asking for the video
Oh, the
from
video is
1029.
under videos on demand.
No, it isn't, because I looked before I left.
But you didn't find the budget either. I think you're looking in the wrong places.
Oh,
Right onto the homepage, there's minutes and agendas, and then videos on demand.
Is it on the videos on demand? Because it wasn't there this afternoon.
I will tell you that sometimes when you look on the phone, you need to actually pull it up on the computer, that it's a different view, but all of our meetings go on there.
1029.
I don't know how many people are in this room are walking around with
I don't
computers in
see
their pocket, but,
1029 for
you know,
videos.
people want to see things, they need to access it right away. They look
Yes,
on
the
their
minutes are
phones.
up there.
So, okay, let's get back to the bridge, okay? The free bridge that cost $689,000. And then on top of that, we had how much in engineering costs? Roughly,
She doesn't know.
no.
Mrs. Boyd, I believe you had requested those figures, and you have the numbers.
I don't think I have.
I'm just looking for a round number, nothing has to be exact, just a round number, kind of like that.
So to answer your questions, in engineering, we paid 81,257.
81 grand. All right, so 80 grand on top of the 689.
Okay, plus another 15,700
16,000, okay.
to get the FEMA money, which we have to throw in. It was an expense.
So it's almost another 100 grand, 97,000, right. On top of the 90,000. So it's almost 900 grand. So my question is, $900,000 roughly, and we're getting back all of that money from FEMA? So I'm going to ask again why it's in the budget for an increase for 2025 if we're getting it back. Because you want to tax the residents, and then you want to take the money from FEMA and put it into what, savings account? I'm asking because I understand that you're saying that there was a surplus and that money has dwindled down. I get that, right? And that you're trying your best here not to raise, not to raise taxes over the last few years, right? I get all of that, but now we're talking about, from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe the board wants to correct me on this, from what I understand, we're going from 67% that we're being taxed on our property now to 100%. Plus, from what I understand, you have somebody going around reassessing houses, and they're going to bring them up to fair market value. Am I correct about that?
No.
That's not. So they're not being, are the houses being reassessed?
The houses are being reassessed, but you're not, we discussed this before, I'll try to explain it very briefly again. Reassessment technically goes in thirds. Do I know if your house is gonna go up? I don't know. But the rule of reassessment is when they average everybody back out, again, and do fair market value to everybody, it's the rule of thirds. 1/3 of people's values will go down, so their taxes will go down, 1/3 will go up, and 1/3 will stay about the same.
So let me ask you this.
But the tax levy is still the tax levy.
It just gets redistributed
Yeah, it gets
fairly.
redistributed. So if we're making $1 million off a tax levy, we're still making $1 million off a tax levy, but the people, the sad way to say it is if you put in an illegal pool and built an illegal shed that didn't get taxed, somebody catches it and you start paying taxes for it.
So let me ask you this. Who determines fair market value of the houses? Because, and I'm going to tell you, before you answer, I'm going to tell you why I'm asking.
Okay.
If there was a house in this area in foreclosure, right, and I go to the bank and let's say that house is worth 500 grand, for argument's sake. Let's say the person that it got foreclosed on was 100,000. And I go to the bank and I say, hey, I'll give you 50 grand for that house. They go, okay, I cut them a check for 50 grand, I get the house. I come here, I say, here's my bill of sale. I paid 50 grand for the house. You know what the town says? It's not fair market value.
It's not the value of the house.
Right.
That's correct.
But if that house goes on the MLS for 500,000 and I know that bank owes 100 grand on it, and I call the bank and I say, hey, I'll give you 50 grand for the house, and they say, okay, and it goes under contract on the MLS, that's fair market value for the house because it was a public sale. Is that correct?
It's not an assessment value, no.
But that is correct. That is the way that the house, I've been doing this a long time, trust me, that's the way it goes. Because I can't come to you and say I paid $50,000 for this house, because you're not going to tax it at that. But the fair market value of the house is actually what somebody will pay for it. And you know what they say, beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, right? So how do we know?
So to answer your question, you started out with a question that never got answered. Who determines that?
Right.
We've hired a company that does that.
Okay.
They do. That's
And
what they do for
how
a
are they
business.
determining that is my next question, because I knew what the answer was when I asked the
They
question.
have formulas that they do that.
They have formulas.
They do that for
They
a
have their own
living.
parameters.
Yep.
They do it for a living, unless they're buying a house, or they could say specifically what they would pay for a house. That's hearsay. What they're saying about the value of the house is hearsay.
Yeah, that's how municipalities do reassessments.
Okay. So the other question I had for you is the 67% tax? Well, that's what we're being taxed on the property now, is that correct? 60% of the value, is that right?
No,
Am I
aren't we
right
at
on that?
90-something? Write it down, and somebody will speak for
I'm
you.
asking, no, I'm asking because I was told it was 67.
We're at 67%.
Yes, Kathy, would you come up? Kathy Doherty,
67%.
would you come up? Kathy,
And is it being raised?
hold on a second.
We want to get to
be at
100.
100%. That way
We
we
get a
pay
better
our fair
value out of
share
it.
of
So-
the school
Can you explain
taxes.
to him a little how that works?
That we're at 67% now.
Right.
The town is trying to go back up to 100%.
When? For 25?
No, it's going to take another year. It's a two-year program.
It's not like you're being taxed at 67%
So-
to 100. That's not how it works.
So-
It's just a valuation. So at the end of the day, whether we go from 67 to 100%, what we collect is still the same. So whatever it costs as a business person, you need an X amount of money to run your business, whatever that value is at X. It never changes, whether it's at 67% value or 100%. We are still collecting the same amount of money. So what it is just a making it so that everybody equally pays the same share. But the town gets no more extra money.
So, well, that's really confusing because
is,
if,
yes.
well, because if you're telling me that you're taxing us, that it's.
No, we're not taxing.
Not taxing.
The
No.
valuating.
The value is, I meant to say value, I was gonna correct myself.
Yeah.
The value is at 67%.
Yes.
And now you're saying that it's gonna go to 100 in 2 years.
That's what we want, so
So-
everybody's equal at 100. Yeah.
Right, so, but we're all equal at 67 now, right?
Yes. And so
But there's a
normally,
but.
So there's a formula that they're correcting it with. There's a formula that's correcting that. And where
Okay.
we fall down because we're not at 100 is that the town of Kent is paying more than its fair share portion of the school tax.
Guy, that's what I heard is
Yeah.
is the outcome of this problem.
We pay 67% of the school tax.
Yeah.
No,
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 no.
That's not
That's,
correct either.
isn't that what you just said?
No, because we are not assessed in full at 100%.
Oh, okay.
We end up picking up a higher portion of school taxes because we share a school district with other towns.
So we're picking it up from other towns.
School district with other towns, it wouldn't have such a dramatic impact.
All the other towns are closer within the guidelines of being at the 100%, so they're not paying as much
Now,
as
this
us.
is something that I'm totally lost on, and that's why I'm asking for clarification, because this is something that I want to understand and that I need to understand, okay? So the value of the houses are not being taxed at 67%,
correct.
right?
Correct.
I got that, right. And by increasing them to 100, and I get it, I think it was Kathy explained to me that it was, I think are short $1 million a year or something on the schools, is that right? Because of the 67%?
Yes.
Right, okay. So what I'm kind of lost about is how are we going to take the value and go to 100%, but nobody's taxes are going up? That doesn't make sense to me.
We're still, the tax levy stays the same.
The income that we get is the same.
It's just a redistribution
You know,
of
and-
who pays what based on what your property is really worth. So some people are undervalued right now and some people are overvalued. But the reval is meant to put everyone at the right level. And then say, like Chris's example, the $1 million gets redistributed around all residents more fairly.
But
And
the $1
it helps
million
with your
does
school
not
taxes.
increase, it's
You know-
still $1 million.
Right.
And-
I got that.
And I think there's a
I'm
good
still
way to.
lost on how
There's,
I
but
get the
I
whole-
think I got a solution for you. If, Lana, could you get to him the video where the guy came down from the state and did the presentation explaining all this when Seth came in? It was right when we were deciding whether we do this. We had somebody coming down and talk to the whole board and to the
Public.
the public about what it was, what it meant, and how it
Yeah, I'll
worked.
ask, Seth was here, right? I'll ask him what
Seth was
date
here
it
too.
was.
So we could
and
get you a
send
video
you-
where you could go back online, look at one of the meetings where you could see when he explains the whole situation and how it works. 'Cause we all need
think
a
everybody here would
clarification.
appreciate seeing that video. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about going from a 67%
Right, but again, this was
value
an
to
open
100%
meeting and we
value.
advertised that when we had it, so it was, it was open for everyone to
How,
come.
how exactly are you advertising stuff? Because I don't get anything. And I'm here 25 years, I don't get anything.
So
How
I
do you advertise?
I have an email list. If you'd like to, if you're not on the email list, you can email me and I can add you to the list so that you get the agenda. The agenda gets posted on the town website. Our meetings are the first and third Tuesday of the month. They're on the calendar on the town website. I think they're noticed in the paper as well.
Yep.
So, is anybody else not clear about the 67%, 100%, and the $1 million? Is anybody else not clear about
I
that?
have a
Or
very
did
good way
everybody get that?
of putting it.
You're all lost about it, right? Because I'm still lost about it too. Well, you're probably the only guy.
I know, this is.
You got it? Yeah. Okay, so I kind of understand that, I think, kind of, sort of, but, I mean, it doesn't, so let's say the guy that's going up on his taxes from 67% value to 100% value, you're talking about.
Taxes, valuation.
I said value.
Valuation.
And that's the whole town. I said value. So let's say the guy that's going from the 67 to the 100, right? And then all of a sudden, the value of his or her house is brought up. You're talking, I'm just wondering here if what I'm thinking is right. The value is gonna go up and the taxes also are gonna go up for that property. So if the valuation's going up and the value of the house is going up, the taxes are gonna stay the same?
There-
It doesn't make
Because
sense.
some people's will go down.
Your school taxes will go down,
Okay,
and then property taxes will fluctuate. But it still all has to make that $1 million that we're talking about.
okay,
It
some are going up,
depends.
some are going down, it still doesn't make sense. I get it, I understand what you're saying.
That's Revale, that's what happens with Revale, and we are one of the only towns not at 100% in Putnam
No, I
County.
know that,
We
I
want to
know
get
that. I was
there,
told
we
that
have to
also.
do it.
And it
I
wouldn't
know.
make that much of a big of a difference, but we split the school district with several other towns.
7, I think.
So,
Seven altogether.
what about
Hold on a
going-
second.
Go
So
ahead.
because we split it with them, and let's say they're at 100% of market value. So as a group as a whole, it's not, don't think of it as individual homes. Think of it, each town is grouped as a whole at 67 or 68 or 69%.
Right.
So if we're at 67 and everybody else is at 100% evaluation, basically we're cheating the system by saying, oh no, ours is worth less, our
right, so
town.
we gotta pay less.
No, well, we've
Well,
been paying
right,
less,
we're
and
paying
so
less.
they
So now the
penalize
town has
us.
to make it up.
Yes, and
Yeah.
now they penalize us by doing it. It's almost like going out to dinner with your own family, and one kid orders chicken nuggets and the other one surf and turf, right? You don't care, you paying the bill. But go out with a bunch of families, uncles and brother, and then their kids are eating surf and turf, and then they think your kids are eating chicken nuggets, and you've got to pay an
Right.
equivalent amount to it. It's like, no, they've got to pay their fair share.
I
to
got
it.
that, no, I understand that part.
Okay.
So I just wanna get back to the 18.67% again with the Lake Carmel district. So, explain to me, that's town tax, not school tax, right? And that is almost a 19% increase on the tax, on the property. Is that correct?
That's a
That-
park district
It's a
tax,
park
not a town
district.
tax, but yes.
So how much of somebody's taxes in the town, because you have the town tax going up 9%, right? That's included in that 18.67, right? So, no? Somebody say no? So the town's going up 9, and the district, the park district is going up 9 plus 18.67? Is that correct?
Julia, can you,
It's a different, it's based off a different, figure. Your overall.
Microphone.
can we give her a microphone?
She could take mine.
Or can we move one of these down?
You can have mine.
Not everybody in the town will pay the park district tax.
No,
Right, just the park district residents, because you're part of the park district.
Right.
So,
Most of us here probably.
so you have the town-wide levy, which you do pay, is 13,385,395. So that's the 9.5% levy increase, right? That's that's on that figure. The park district levy is going up to 710,000. So it's a smaller percentage. I don't know the average, so the average assessed, I mean, we were looking at this, the average assessed home in the park district would pay an additional, I think, $250 a year
For
in
what?
town tax, your total tax.
For what though? So what extra you give,
It's not the extra, it's the increase for
Yeah.
sanitation,
Increase
it's the
for
cost of everything
sanitation,
going up.
for park district.
Sanitation's another
Right.
line.
But sanit,
Well,
Is that
the
included in that
overall,
18.67?
I think the overall concept that needs to be understood is, if you take all of our neighboring towns in the county, they've
well, I don't
all,
think anybody cares
no,
about
no,
this.
but we
About
have
the
to,
taxes.
I know, but if you think of increasing costs increase, every year they've increased,
Sure,
every year for 10 years. They don't go down, they go up.
okay,
We've had zero tax increases for about 7 years,
okay,
but all the costs have been going up.
I got you. I know all about it, I've been in business 30 years.
How can we compensate?
my
How can we
prices in 10 years
compensate
either.
for that?
It depends. You want my
How?
opinion? You want my input? Because I'm happy to give it to you. I mean, if you want to raise taxes, then expand services. And you don't have to expand them only to the Lake Carmel district, you could expand them outside the Lake Carmel district. So you have 3 guys on a sanitation truck, and I'm only pointing out the sanitation, just because it came to my mind first, because it's on two separate increases of 2 separate budget items, right? So you have 3 guys on the truck. Have you ever thought about, I don't know if you have or not, when I had my house, I had 2 houses, one here, one in Connecticut. We had an automated, I don't know, it wasn't in the town. We had a separate company, I don't know how it was the only company in town, but they had automated trucks. And I'm going back 15 years ago. So they would drive up, they had special garbage cans. They drive up, these little arms come down, boom, pull it, and done. And the guy drives. One guy in the truck, you take out of the equation people throwing out their backs, you take out of the equation people standing outside freezing. So now you have 3 guys on the truck. What do you do with the other 2 guys? Expand the services out to other parts of the town and offer other people services. And then you get 2 more trucks, you do 3 times the service for the same people in the same towns, and they're all, and instead of the money going up, it goes down.
Well, I mean, that's something that we could look at for the future, but
I'm only talking about
it's not-
sanitation was the one thing that came to mind. That's the only
But
reason I
if you
mentioned sanitation.
expand it, the costs do increase because there's more garbage that you're getting rid of, and, you know, so there's
Good.
costs associated with that as well. It's
Right,
not
but you
just
also
going.
have you also have the option in the sanitation department to put in, you know, things to burn if we're paying to get rid of certain things that can be burnt, like cardboard and stuff like that, why wouldn't you burn it instead of getting rid of it? Why can't you burn it? You're saying no, why?
Yeah, you can't burn cardboard,
Well, I don't think, why not?
because it's against the law, probably.
Because it's what?
It's probably against the law, that's why.
Yeah, we can't.
Well, I'm just, again, I was just using it as an example, something, you know, if you think outside the box and like I said, the cardboard, I mentioned cardboard because I know you take a match and you like cardboard on fire.
So yes, we have at the meetings do a lot of spitballing back and forth to figure it out. So like when people take out a building permit of a X amount of dollars, and we haven't determined that yet, we make them get a dumpster, like a
And they
2-yard
should.
dumpster.
I had to.
So that we don't have to subsidize contractors that go and work on people's houses.
Well, that's a problem. I know that that's been an issue.
Yeah.
And you know what, if you throw out you break up a board of sheetrock and throw it out, I don't have a problem with that. When you gut a house and throw that out, maybe that's a little bit of an issue.
Well, we are going to be reviewing everything with our sanitation department so that if they, they make sure that they make us
Jamie, I only
aware.
brought up the sanitation because I know there's 3 guys, and I love my sanitation guys. I tell everyone, if you cut up a Buick small enough, they could pick it up, they'll take it. They're
But
great.
that's the problem, that's the problem.
That's an issue.
That's the
And
problem.
No, it is, and-
So
and
we
they do
need
it 'cause
them
they
to
wanna
let
help
us.
the people in
Yes,
the
but
town.
we
I
need,
get
but, yes,
And
they
it
wanna
creates
help the
more garbage.
people, but then it creates more tonnage
Right.
of garbage,
I
and
like
that's why
that.
that's why the sanitation bill's so much. So we just want them to be, pay attention more, let us know, hey, this house has an awful lot of garbage out front, and, there's windows there, there's doors there, there's 3 front doors and only 1 door, so, just that kind of stuff. I mean, I hear when I'm in the deli, I hear people, oh yeah, my friend lives over on this road in Lake Carmel, they let me bring all my garbage there, and I think,
Yeah, you see, that's a problem.
good,
No, I get
good,
it.
and
You have
so
a problem
that's
while your
something that we
taxes
need
go
to,
up, right.
that we need to enforce more, have the rules, we're trying to figure out what to do, not a mailing, maybe a sticker that we put on everyone's garbage pail that just says this is what is acceptable, not acceptable, have the guys put it on the garbage pails when they go out, something.
And we did just address it with sanitation just recently. We had them in and had a
Yes.
discussion.
But
because-
address it with the residents as well, so that they know what,
I think part of the problem really
Will
is
not be
disseminating the
taken.
information, because I'm telling you, I'm here 25 years, and I started a Facebook group. I don't even go on Facebook. I don't know anything about Facebook. But I went on Facebook to start a group because this came to my attention, and it was dropped in my lap 3 days ago.
I know, and so the thing with Facebook, though, that we all have to remember, is that it's not all true. Not everything that you see on Facebook is true.
No, but I
And-
posted your budget on Facebook.
Okay.
That's true.
Yes, that is true.
No, I didn't
And
leave it on
posted
Facebook. I started a group on Facebook.
No, I know, but I'm
to
just
talk about
trying to say that, with all of this, there's a lot of people here I've never seen before, coming to the meetings. We're
Just
here
go-
the first and third Tuesday of every month. My door is always open in my office. I answer my work phone rings on my cell phone on the weekends and at night. I answer it. So call, ask questions. We'd rather you come to us or one of the members on the board and ask us directly so we can give you the facts. Richie said it best. You're entitled to your own opinions, but not your own facts. So if you come to us and we give you the facts and stuff, then at least you have it and not, well, Facebook told me this. Well, Facebook isn't always right.
Yeah,
I think we all know that.
Well, we're not, that's not what I meant
So
by the
I
Facebook.
do
No, I
wanna-
know, but I'm just want to let you know, I mean, all of our budget meetings have been open from the beginning. It used.
That's what I was gonna
Oh, I'm
say.
sorry.
I actually applaud you for taking the time to go through there and sitting up here with some questions. I find it very commending that you're taking that time. Take another step. Come to our,
I got a couple other
come to our budget meetings, because we go line by line. We go literally line by line with Yulia over many, many weeks of open public meetings. Some of these
I
people
got you.
come to
Listen,
them.
and listen, I run 3 companies. For me to be here today, I had to move mountains, believe me. And I'm happy to come. If I know I have to schedule this time, then that's what I have to do. But going forward, that's what I'm gonna have to do. I have a couple other questions for you. They're off the thing, but I know that the ambulance was one of them. Why do we have an ambulance and why we're paying?
Well, why don't we,
All right.
why don't we go back to this and go down, and that way I think it keeps us on track
Right.
more.
And then we could go to other questions?
At the end, if there's more questions, that's fine,
Fine.
but I think we should just stick with this first,
Okay,
and
now
then
we're-
we'll
now
go
we're
to
talking.
there.
Okay, yeah.
Sir?
Yes.
If you want to, I'm sure the assessor will go over the
Is, all right, Kathy, are you,
Okay, just.
no, I just want to know are we,
Are we going on number 3?
well, are you up here to ask me a question on number 2, or you want to go to number 3?
I'm the guy that.
Okay, 2 is good.
I'm not the
2
guy.
is good.
I'm not saying you personally, I'm the guy.
We're on 3.
Nancy, it's being disturbing, people talking.
We're going on number 3.
Okay, you're
Can we
good.
have quiet, please?
Okay, you have to come up here, though. All right. I know, can we? It might just be easier.
Nancy said you could have hers.
I don't know if hers,
It's on a cord.
I don't know, does hers move? Yeah.
My name is Rocco Sorecchia. I've lived in the town of Kent for over 30 years. I live on Gray Oaks Court. It's a dead-end road, okay? The only departments that come down my road are highway and sanitation. When highway was putting new drains in our road because our road was bad, I said to the guys, it's nice to see you there, because we never see the park guys come down our road and take care of. I live on the west side of the lake. They do nothing. They said something to the guys. The guys came down in their green pickup truck. 4 guys in the truck, they drove down. Okay? They sat in the truck and laughed, turned around and left. And you want me to give them an increase? That's not right. I want a tax refund for 30 years of no service.
What needs, I mean, what need, like,
Everywhere on the lake, it looks beautiful, okay? Highway made a turnaround, all right, down our road, okay? We have a section that needs to be taken care of. I have a person that lived on the road for 50 years, another one for 40 years, and me for 30 plus. They don't come down our road and service us.
so what service would you, clean up? I just, if you,
Clean it
sir, if you tell me, then if you call my office, I can address this. I have no way of knowing every single street in Kent, if it's, what's being done and stuff. If you call my office and say, look, there's a problem.
I called somebody, and I asked somebody, I called the main number, and I said, is Gray Oaks Court part of the Carmel District, the lake thing? Well, no. The person couldn't give me an answer. Okay?
I mean, I don't know who you called, and I apologize for
Okay.
that answer, but.
But no one is servicing us down there.
Okay.
The weeds are this high.
Okay, sir,
I'm
now
6'4".
but now you're telling me, so I can address it. So now give me time to address it, and something will be done. If we don't know, we can't address it.
But I want a refund for 30 years, and I think the people on my road deserve a refund. You want to increase my taxes, okay? All right? I'm a retired guy now, okay? Now I got to go out and work a full 40-hour-week job because I like where I live, okay? But you want to increase our taxes. You voted to go over the budget. You voted for this EMS stuff, okay? And I do have a question about that while I'm here. Are tax dollars funding the program?
For this year, we used ARPA funds to fund the program. It will, after we start out enrolling and we start going on calls, and we will be bringing back in revenue from the calls.
But we're taxpayers in this district, in the town of Kent. We're gonna pay for a service that you're using our tax dollars for?
The service is needed. We don't, unfortunately, volunteers used to be running the ambulance service like they do with the fire department, and unfortunately, we don't have the volunteers like we used to.
So, God forbid, if I need the ambulance, I'm gonna get a bill.
No, no matter what, if you call an ambulance, period, you'll get a bill.
Even from the
But
volunteer fire
you're-
department.
yes.
should-
I
But it-
understand that, sir. I
But it
understand
goes
that.
to your insurance, and your insurance pay, that's covered by your insurance.
But it's our tax dollars. You're using our tax dollars to fund the program, yes or no?
Yes, for an ambulance, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a service like the highway department, of course.
Okay, so why do we have to pay for that service if we use the ambulance?
Because sorry.
Okay?
It's
The-
not being provided anymore by our other resources.
I understand that,
So
that's
they
not what I'm
can't.
saying.
I'm not understanding.
Okay.
I don't get
We
it.
don't pay for the police department, it's in our taxes.
Yes.
Right.
Okay? We don't pay for highway, it's in our taxes. We don't pay for the Lake Carmel district because it's in our taxes. So now you're gonna use our tax dollars to set up an ambulance corps, and then we're gonna get charged for it?
Your insurance will.
Your insurance
But
will.
that's not.
But you always would have. If they're not going to charge beyond what would have happened before, if it was the Lake Carmel Fire Department that ran the ambulance, you'd still get bills.
And you're still paying
That's not gonna
taxes into that
change.
fire department. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's
If
the
the
same.
ambulance came when they
I
volunteered.
understand what you're saying, okay? But I don't agree with it, okay?
Well, unfortunately, we were placed in a very tough position where it came to us and they said, there's no ambulances going out. And in Kent, if you call an ambulance, it could take 30 minutes for an ambulance to get to you.
Does the
And it's-
county provide that service? Yes or no?
No,
No, that's why we're in this mess.
Really?
They did before. They assisted us from time to time,
Geez,
but
my
that's
neighbor
not
was
doing
down
it.
the road, the county service came to her house.
Which is
The
now.
county,
We do have
the-
paramedics on call, the county pays.
yes,
Yeah.
but
This is,
But they're
But
not
it's not provided
24/7.
for us, it's not 24/7, it's not coverage 24/7. I mean, it's unfortunate, trust me, but the thing is that it's something you hope you never need. But when you do need it, if someone in your family goes down, you really hope that it doesn't take 30 minutes for an ambulance to get to you.
I'm
Or
not
that,
debating that, I agree with you.
so we need it, every other town has this. We're one of the last towns to do this, because, and it's a necessity. It really, really is.
Okay.
And so the initial startup was a large sum. Moving forward, it will be a smaller sum because we'll be bringing the money back in from insurance.
So then our taxes will go down?
Yes, yes, after the first year, yes. But we don't know what,
Okay, anybody in this room believe your taxes are gonna go down? Come on.
I'm telling you.
the ambulance was a very unique situation where I do believe, and maybe I'm wrong about this, that if we didn't do it this year, when we had a substantial pile of ARPA money, you know what the ARPA money was, the rescue plan money that we got.
The COVID money.
The COVID money that we got infused into us. We took advantage of that, and that was a lot of where our startup cost was for this ambulance. On top of that, both of our volunteer ambulance companies gave us their ambulances. So we have that. Plus, Lake Carmel gave us a space in the Lake Carmel substation. So we had and the county came in and through, what do you call that? Shared services, and brought their carpenters, electricians, and plumbers in and got it all set up. If we had waited, and say we didn't do it, and we stuck with what other options we had of bringing Phillipstown ambulances on 45-minute runs to get over here, because that was sometimes who had to come on a 911 call. If we didn't do it this year, and 5 years down the road from now, the next town board realized that there's no other option, we gotta do this. Think of what the tax increase would have been then, because there would have been no ARPA funds to start up. This was a unique year that we had to do it, I believe, this year,
Yes.
to go and to get it done.
And we had the funds. So once we are up and running, we will get a better idea of what money we're bringing in. We can't even make a guesstimate on it because we don't know,
No, I
until,
understand that.
and so that's why, you can believe me, you cannot believe me, it will go down, it will decrease, so.
Well, I want something done with the Lake Carmel Park District.
Well, tomorrow I will have the guys go down Gray Oaks Court and I will tell them to take care of it. But I promise you, if you call my office, that, what? Or email, yes, that, we'll look into it, but, we don't know unless we're told. I don't know if the guys aren't going down Gray Oaks Court.
they're gonna ride down my road tomorrow, turn around in the circle, and drive right out.
I promise you that they will not. If I have to go with them, I promise you that they will not.
Because if they do, I will be in your office tomorrow.
Then I hope you will, because I will be
Because
telling.
I will be on that road tomorrow. And they better come down with their weed whackers and take care of the west side of the lake like they take care of all the rest of the lake. A gentleman I talked to the park, the advisory board you have. I wasn't able to go to the meetings, okay? He told them. They looked at him. Yeah, okay.
So we have one of the advisory board members right here, actually.
Microphone's on there right now. I sit on the advisory board, sir. My name is Rob Lucas. For the record, I sit on the advisory board. I respect what you're saying, but I duly don't agree with you. Those guys, to my knowledge, because I see them frequently, are down there every day, as I believe you know. They drive by. What my concern to you is, and I think what you need to express to the supervisor, is exactly what your expectations are. If it's just a matter of weed whacking and a certain section of Gray Oaks Court, then that's what needs to be explained to the supervisor so you can relay that information to the foreman, and hopefully that'll be done. So I apologize. I'm not going against you in any way, shape, or form. I've been on the state for 55 years. They do work on Gray Oaks Court. And excuse me, if I could just finish.
Highway does the work on Gray Oaks Court.
If I could just finish, sir, I promise you. It's probably not the work that you want done. On the corner, they're there every year, probably 2 or 3 times a year that we whack. If you can tell me that that's not true, you're incorrect.
No, they go to where the pipe, all the water comes in and everything.
Yes, sir.
They stop right there. Gray Oak Court doesn't exist after that. Highway's the only department that came down and helped us. I'm paying taxes for that, and Highway's the only one that did anything.
Sir, I completely understand what you're saying. What I don't understand, honestly, is what you're asking for. That's what
To maintain the property.
What do you want maintained? Is it just weed whacking?
You got the whole road after the turnaround.
I'm very familiar.
It all has to be cut down and maintained the way they take care of it around the lake.
And that's what I'm saying.
And you know what they're gonna tell me tomorrow? They don't have the equipment to do it.
And that will be on the supervisor's back to make sure it happens, if in fact it's agreed upon that that's what needs to be done. And sir, please, again, no offense to you, the entire lake is not mowed down around the entire lake.
I know that.
Okay, and there are certain areas, and there's a reason for certain areas for it to be that way, I'm sure you're very knowledgeable of. I think there could be a happy median if you can talk to the supervisor's office and express exactly what your expectations are to see if there will be a median agreement as to what can be done down there. That would be my suggestion to you as a co-owner in the town of Kent and as a co-citizen. That would be my recommendation to you, sir.
I just want them down the road, taking care of the road that should look like everything else around the lake. The west side of the lake has not been touched. 30 years I've been there. They go, they come down, they do it right there, okay? The road here, my road, they come down, they do 10 feet into the road, he rides his lawnmower, does the 10 feet and leaves. Highways come down and maintain the road for us. Okay?
Well, I will make sure that the guys are out tomorrow on Gray Oaks Court, and I will have them do whatever needs to be done on the road.
Okay.
And if not, you can call my office, come into my office, whatever you would like to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, George.
I'm George Baum. I used to teach, so I don't need a microphone when I address the crowd. You people need a microphone, by the way. You ought to talk to it. I'll only be brief. I don't have any real complaint. I do have some comments, and I have some suggestions for you. I don't really feel the need for a private ambulance service. We live close to the hospital. It's not a long ride. We have EMTs at the fire departments.
No, we don't.
That's
That's the
they
problem.
Don't have
came
EMTs?
they came to
don't have
us.
They don't-
They came to us and asked us to do this.
I'm gonna tell you, so
But,
the state has put down a mandate on EMTs and
all I
stuff,
know
and
is-
that's,
What I read is, in a budget, in past, that the highway department took care of the ambulance service. It was a voluntary service.
Fire.
That's what we had in the past. We haven't had a private ambulance service.
fire, not fire.
Or fire department.
They
Okay.
did, that's correct.
Yes, so I don't feel the need for a private ambulance service. Most of the towns in the county have a volunteer fire.
No, they have private.
We're the last one.
We're the last ones. We
Buck Valley
don't,
doesn't have one.
no.
They have a private. They're not private, public. They have
Well,
their own.
they have their own
Okay,
ambulance
well,
corps, like we,
My comment is, I don't feel the need for a private ambulance service. We're close to the hospital, and I feel that the volunteer services can handle that. I also feel we live close to the county office buildings. I don't understand why we don't, the receiver of taxes, why we have a separate receiver of taxes. You could just as easily go to a mail drop at the, in one of the county office buildings. It's a short distance. I don't see the need for a separate assessor. The county has their, whatever they call that department.
Property tax service.
Yeah, so, I think you ought to consider more consolidation of services. You won't save the full cost of the office, obviously, because you're going to depend on another group to deal with what we deal with now. Well, why don't you consider at least shrinking where you can shrink the county, the town's government, and as an alternative to a 10% increase in levy. Nobody's happy with that, as you can say. You're probably not happy with it. No. So let's give some thought to where we might reduce the size of our government. I have found the Kent Police to be very polite, very helpful. I've made use of them on numerous occasions when we had events at the Mount Denham Fire Tower, and they would come with their cadets and they would help with the traffic. I've always found them to be very cooperative. I do feel it's a little big, and I think you can lose one or two policemen without compromising the safety services that they provide. And it's possible that there are other consolidations. There are, I don't know, the highway department I think is very efficient. What it was when I first moved here 20 years ago was not much different from my neighbor's garage. It was a terrible facility. And what we have now is something that's suitable for our town. But you know, most of us have wells, most of us have septic tanks, and most of us do not live in a garbage district. So it's a pretty laid-back town, minimal services, and I'd like to keep it that way. New York City pays a lot of taxes for you, and without getting any real services, it's just open space sitting there, which we love. I'm very happy for it. But I do think our taxes should not, a 10% hike is a big hike. And I think you ought to give serious consideration to shrinking our government a bit. So thank you very much for listening.
I'm gonna just go right to the ambulance, since we're
Okay.
on that.
Okay.
Okay. Again, I understand that we can't get the volunteers, I get that. But when I was speaking to the county executive, I said to him, I don't understand, you have the emergency service building, and if all the towns paid, let's say $300,000 to the county and said, run the ambulance corps, why that couldn't be done? And
mean
then-
for every town?
For every town, just, like being the 100%.
Like having a county ambulance corps instead of,
Right, because we have no businesses to go ahead with this. I mean, we cannot keep up with this, whether it's $650,000 a year or whatever. These are now employees with retirement and benefits and liability and workers' comp and everything else, and this is gonna go, it's just gonna grow. And what if they become a union? And what if they, there's just so many things where, also, I asked Jamie that day that I had the coffee with the county exec. I said to him, or I said to you, why couldn't you look at, paying for a private ambulance? Dover does that. Dover pays like $500,000, and it's not employees. It's just, here's 500, you run it, and
actually,
goodbye.
Dover can't do that anymore because that private company just increased its prices so much that Dover is also overriding the tax cap and also establishing their own ambulance department.
But again, it's going to come to the point where, like, I know, Jamie, your answer was, you looked into that and it was even more money.
It would be more money.
But,
Right.
okay,
That's
but
the point.
what is more money compared to that these are now employees? Don't get me sick. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't,
It's not a savings overall.
okay, but I do
And
think
there,
the
and
county.
the projections are those costs are gonna just keep rising and rising and rising.
Okay, and Dutchess County's big and Westchester County's big. Putnam is not. That if it could be done, it could be done in Putnam County. And I'm just saying that if you could even just start, I mean, I know you have to go ahead with doing what you're doing, but maybe you could start a dialogue.
We can start looking into it, it's just,
And-
but right now, we have to do what we're doing, because we don't.
And I get that, but
Yeah.
And
I
that
would
was an
like to know
option.
that there's some kind of dialogue that started, that maybe the other towns will say, I mean, it's gonna get to the point where nobody can afford here.
No, and certainly that was an option. We went through a number of workshop meetings with our partners in both fire departments.
Right.
To really look at what were all the options, we'll be honest with you. We had
Right.
Nancy in there, this wasn't our business.
Right.
It was their business.
Right.
They knew what was needed for our town. And we weighed them all. We weighed all the options and what was the most economical, what was the most doable right now for us. And with what we had and where we thought we could get to this year, this was the best option for us.
Because we had the ARPA funds as well, which helped us
Right,
with the
but
startup
if it's
costs.
600, let's say it's 650,000, and we don't know what is gonna
don't.
come in, and you have to pay the billing company and all that other stuff. If it's
No,
600.
Well, we don't pay the
them.
billing.
They
I know,
take a
they're taking a
percentage. Yeah.
They get-
percentage. Okay, but $650,000 next year, our taxes will go up again.
But it won't be this, because you have to remember, that was also part of like the startup costs and everything. We're not gonna have, those costs were one-time expenses, that you're not gonna have them every year.
I'm just saying, I think the town's gotta fight the county. and
I
say-
agree with the consolidated services that George spoke
George,
about
yeah,
too.
I
Any
do
place
too.
we could look for that, but that's getting
We have to
another
look at
municipality to buy into that also.
Right.
That's
Right.
not just us saying, hey, we want you to do this for us. They gotta say, we're willing to do this for you.
But I'm surprised that supervisors from other towns haven't said, we can't afford this. That they have, I mean, has anybody reached out to any of the other towns? I mean, we did coordinated assessments, and it didn't work, okay? Because one town got favored over the other town. I'm saying that, yeah, if everybody was together and said, you have this beautiful emergency services building, you can handle it, we will give you money, I could see that, because then it wouldn't grow with, like I said, workers' comp and
Which is why,
retirement,
like, we're trying to
medical and-
limit to 3 full-time and only per diem employees. That
Right,
way we
but
don't
it will
have
grow, Jamie.
all that.
And it could start a bidding war. If Kent, who is small, pays less to the EMTs than Carmel, then guess what? I'm leaving here and I'm going over there, because they're
So, but the
paying
good thing
more.
with the per diem is, the people that, is that they kind of travel all within the circle
Oh,
of
is
the
that what you're
different.
doing?
They do
Okay.
it,
Yeah,
they'll do a day
so
for
they might work,
Patterson, a
yeah,
couple days
Patterson, they might work
here.
Okay.
4 or
That's how
5
that
different
works.
ones, and then they just pick up shifts all over, so
Okay.
it,
But is everybody the same pay?
I've looked at it,
think they all
we're
are
around, we're around.
They're close. Okay. You know,
I want to say we're hiring, because we're hiring some tonight for 20, and I think maybe Patterson was, and don't quote me, but like 21, 22 an hour, so we're right there.
Okay. Just saying.
We're not more than anywhere else, but we're right there.
Okay, are you asking on the ambulance?
Yeah.
Because I got the other.
So a $20 an hour employee costs you $30 an hour without retirement benefits. What, these people are now working for the town, so now they have a pension and all of that stuff, right?
Well,
No, we're
They're
having
per
two or
diem.
three
Per diem would
full-time.
not have pension.
But the others do,
The three
full-timers.
people will, the director, yes,
and they're not $20 an hour employees.
no.
Right, so that's, I think, what, you know, what do you have any idea what the cost would have been to farm it out? Because, I mean, if it's a $650,000, and there's another side to this coin also. You get picked up, right, and somebody doesn't have insurance, and you have a billing department now, a billing company that's gonna torture these people, put them in collections and everything else. Did you think about that? Now you have a resident that's paying taxes for an ambulance company, that their insurance company's either not gonna pay everything, or not, they don't have insurance, and then they gotta wind up paying for the ambulance anyway?
That was
You
gonna
know-
happen with a private one.
Yeah, no matter what.
An ambulance is an
If
ambulance,
an
no matter who
ambulance
it
picks
were.
you up.
But if you're paying for it in your taxes, you shouldn't be billed for it on the ride also.
But
That's the
even,
point,
even
and you
if
will
a
be.
volunteer picked you up, you would have still paid for it. You would have still had, the billing would have still come after you.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
Even if we had still stuck with the volunteers, which you're still paying for the volunteer fire department, we still pay the tax rate.
Well, you're paying for the trucks and whatever, and their
Right, so,
equipment, I get that.
You're in a
if
fire
they-
district.
Yeah, so if they picked you up, and you didn't have insurance, they would still bill you and come after you for that money.
Let me tell you, I'm sure I speak for everybody in this room. If we have an ambulance department and they're paying taxes to fund that ambulance department and they get a bill, I'm sure they are all gonna be, you're gonna be getting phone calls off the hook,
it would-
because, I mean, it's crazy.
But it would go through your.
If it's a private service and
Yes,
they're.
but it goes through your insurance.
Right, but, okay, so my insurance is gonna pay, I don't know, my insurance is gonna pay, I gotta copay $150. You're gonna call me for that copay. If it was a private ambulance and I got called for a copay and I wasn't paying it in my taxes every year, I'd be okay paying
There's
$150.
no such thing as a
That's
private
not-
ambulance.
that's not how-
This is exactly the same as it would have been when it was the fire department's providing the ambulance. Whatever you were getting billed for before, you're still gonna get billed for.
I don't know, I never called the
Yeah.
ambulance. I don't know, I'm just saying, actually, they called an ambulance to my house a couple of weeks ago, I hurt my hand. And it was a nice, brand-new rescue truck that had 4 EMTs in it. I mean, it was a beautiful truck, great job, but
Well,
I
ours
don't
will
think
not
I
have
needed a
4.
rescue truck.
Ours will not have 4 EMTs on it, I can promise you
So it
that.
wasn't a Lake Carmel, it wasn't a
No,
Lake
I'm
Carmel
saying
ambulance?
it's not.
This was a few weeks, it was like
yes.
3.
The county
It
was
could have been
helping us
Empress.
out during when we had no coverage, so it may have been the county.
Well, let me tell you, it was a beautiful truck. But the bottom line is, if it's in your taxes, then it's in your taxes. Then you shouldn't be billed the additional, whatever it is. Because 95% of the people here aren't getting in an ambulance. They're not calling an ambulance every year. But that one guy or girl or woman or man that does, I mean, come on, we're paying enough for this stuff. $650,000 in the taxes, we shouldn't be billed for it. Whatever you get from the insurance.
I get it, I don't
that should be
think,
the
I
end
don't
of it.
think we're gonna agree on this, you know, we
Probably
have our
not.
facts, so I think we should just move on from this,
Okay.
because,
I just want to offer one comment, though, because for this initial startup, we can't predict what the revenue is going to be coming back from the insurance.
I understand
So it
that.
looks like a large sum of money. In future years, there will be revenue coming back, so the amount that each taxpayer is paying, or each household is paying, will be lower than it is in the startup year.
And it's irrelevant 'cause we're starting
So in a sense, you're paying
it.
for the part of the ambulance that the insurance doesn't pay for. That's what we as residents will be paying.
But we're still paying for the startup. So the
Well-
fact that you're telling me in 10 years it's not gonna be as much isn't tickling my
Well,
whistle.
also, you're
Well,
getting
next year.
ARPA monies put towards it, so, and that was just
That's
basically
this year.
free money the government
this year.
got.
yeah.
Just this year
So-
for the startup,
So,
yes.
so the startup was 650,000? Is that what it cost to start this up?
You have better, you have the numbers on that, was it 650?
And then it was
It was
250 you put ARPA money
Yes,
towards.
but,
We've
And
put
then the-
money.
So 900 grand?
Yeah.
We've put money
No,
into the
not
2025 budget.
Yeah, so.
2025.
450 is,
Because they use the 250 for
Right.
the ARPA money.
oh, we won't have that next year. Right.
But next year, what we don't have now is we will be bringing money back in.
We hope.
We hope.
We will.
But like I'm telling you, you start going after residents for a copay or for an ambulance bill that they don't have insurance, I don't think people are gonna be too happy about that.
But no
I would
matter
think.
what, if you call an ambulance, if you're at the
Yeah.
Danbury Mall
I
and you
get
call
you,
an ambulance.
I understand that, but.
You're gonna
I-
have to pay
I
for it. That's
understand
just
that,
the
but
way
you-
that.
But I'm not paying Danbury more my taxes for my property to have an ambulance come. I understand that part of it. The point is, you know, you have to be reasonable about what you're billing and where. I mean, if you're getting, listen, I
And
called
we
an
have to be
ambulance at my
reasonable
sister's
that our
house.
residents need
Jamie,
protection,
I
and that
called it-
our residents need
I
an
got you.
ambulance.
Listen, I called an ambulance at my sister's house. The bill was $1,500. My insurance paid, I think, $1,300 of it. The bottom line, I don't live there. I paid the $200. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make is if you bill my insurance company $1,500 and get 13, that should be enough for you.
A lot of this,
Especially with the-
it's a new endeavor for the town, so they're going to be working through some of these issues, and, you know, it's a work in
Yeah,
progress.
you put someone in collections, it's gonna be right on Jamie's desk like that. is what I'm trying
Understood,
to make,
yes.
You know?
Move on.
Okay.
Can I go
Okay.
down to
Yes.
number 3?
Yep, all right,
Lake
so,
Carmel Community
can we
Center.
cross off number 13? Are we good with
Yes,
that?
I just did that, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry,
Lake
now,
Carmel Community Center budget line.
so,
You have it in the, you have money in the budget line, but we don't have a community center, so.
yes, but that was used for, I think you can back me up, for engineering fees, costs that we've used for that property. So it's not, it says it appears unused, but it's not unused.
Okay. Lake Carmel Sanitation and Sewer
Okay.
District. Lake Carmel Sanitation budget went up 11.83. And yes, you say you're going to monitor it. Now, if you remember, 2 years ago, I brought to you that the people were flipping houses and we were paying for all that stuff, and that's where it's going to keep going up. So if you don't get, and.
Well, we
you-
can't keep paying for people to, you know, that's not what your sanitation is supposed to be. It's supposed to be your garbage and stuff. It's not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be that you redid your bathroom and you're putting out the 3 toilets
I
that
just
you
took down a
rechanged
house. I
everything.
took
That's not supposed.
3 full-size dumpsters, but they were putting it outside and our guys were picking it up. That's why I brought it.
That's why we're trying to figure out if, you know, like we said, if you open up a building permit on your house, that you're required to have a dumpster.
They weren't opening up a building permit.
No,
Well, but also, and monitor what people are putting out, like I said.
And that's what we've started. That's been our discussion with
Yes, it has been. We
sanitation.
brought
is, hey,
we did
go
bring
back,
sanitation in.
talk to all your employees.
Right.
Here's the rules. You guys know what you're supposed to pick up, what you're not supposed to pick up.
Right.
Let's start doing it right here, because we
Yeah.
can't afford it anymore.
Right, because Eugene, who was the foreman, used to come in and tell me, and I'd write a letter telling that person, it'd go right to that person saying, no.
And that's exactly what we decided
Yeah,
was gonna
because they
start.
have said that they have been bringing it back to the sanitation clerk, Jackie, and that she has been making notes, so,
Okay.
but we're going through that. I'm sorry, continue. So
And the
what,
sewer district's going up,
But has that been implemented?
but I'm sorry.
Has that program been implemented?
Yes, we have spoken to the sanitation department. They know what they
I
need
know
to
that,
do.
I was there at the meeting, but has something been done? Have cards been sent out
No,
to the
we're going to
residents?
have to be making up stickers or something, which is what I said earlier.
That's what you said a month ago at the meeting. So nothing seems to move in this town. It just stops at the meeting and never goes
Town of
forward.
Kent. I wonder.
the sewer district went up by 8.25%.
I'm sorry, so, okay, so it's 4 now? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow along on
I'm
your-
sorry, number 4, the bottom half, the sewer district budget went up, increased by 8.25%. And we still never got a breakdown of what we're being charged for to begin with.
Yeah.
So we went
That-
up, but we don't know what we're being charged for.
But that increase was because of pumps that needed to, I mean, you can
Oh,
answer, I don't know if you want me to, I know you can't really talk
you
about
can't
pumps. We had, you know, we replaced some parts there.
Better
There was,
disinfect that mic.
Oh, just too much excitement after Tuesday. So some of it is, what you know is that we don't have a breakdown from the sewer
Correct.
district, from the
Yes.
sewer manor.
Yes.
And so it was just an estimated guess on previous years, which is going to go up. But you're right, we still don't have a breakdown
I
from
know,
that yet.
we
you know?
need to have a breakdown.
Yeah.
This is
No, without a
ridiculous.
doubt. And-
Again, I'm in the Lake Carmel Park District. I'm in the Lake Carmel Sanitation District. I'm in the Fire District. I'm in the Sewer District. And I got the town taxes. And
but
I'm
Sean,
gonna
you
be
were
70
working on
years
this, you
old,
were
and I
working
can't
on the
live here
sewer
anymore.
district
Oh,
stuff.
well,
Sean was working on that.
Kathy's on the sewer district
Yes.
committee, so I mean.
And
she
finding
does
out-
this
We're
part.
both frustrated with
Right,
that,
but
we don't
he-
get an answer for that.
Yeah. And so the other part of it is that, you know, the system is, what's it, 12 years old now?
Is what?
The sewer district, 12 years?
12.
Yeah. So we had a couple of pumps that went, you know, they weren't cheap. So, you know, very typical of anything that starts to, 10, 20 years old. You know, it's going to be some of those costs that are going to come in there.
And that the filters are laying there, and Kent Manor hasn't been built.
Well, Yeah, right, it doesn't help that Kent
And
Manor
what
hasn't
are we
been
gonna do with
built.
that? So that's another thing the
that's
town
another
has to look into. It's why Kent Manor has not been built, and they have not kept up their part of the
But I
bargain.
think, Sean, weren't you working with Nancy on that?
Well, Nancy, and then with the sewer district, Martin Lynn Judas is working on a proposal
Well,
for
a
us.
proposal to cut, right.
Yeah, so.
Right,
well,
but
we're
I'm just
forging
saying, but
ahead.
that's not their jurisdiction, is to figure out why Kent Manor hasn't kept up. That's not gonna be part of this proposal.
Right, but
This is-
that was them looking into it, that was.
Yeah,
Yeah, but when we had our discussion, Kent Manor is not part of what they're going to really study.
No, not Barton
So,
Jones.
so they're gonna look at the part that's in the town, but the town board needs to figure out with Nancy where we're going with this Kent Manor issue.
yeah. Well, as a whole, I think they're gonna look at it. I mean, because there's the three entities, and it's, that's a confusing thing in and of on its own.
Okay,
So-
but I'm just saying, like Sue just said, I'd like to see some more movement
right
on
with you.
that and see
Right with you.
where we're going. Safety inspection fees,
That's building department.
building. Recreation budget. Can you clarify the basis of the recreation budget numbers? Many programs seem to be outsourced, are we correct?
So I don't consider it outsourced. So the programs that we don't have here is like ice skating. We don't have an ice rink. Bowling, we don't have a bowling alley. We have fitness classes. We don't have a place to hold fitness classes. So we're not outsourcing. I don't know if maybe you're talking about, we've joined Little League this year, if maybe that's what you're looking at. So Little League isn't outsourcing. We joined that organization so that our rec teams can travel into other towns. So
Like
it's just-
Patterson Pirates?
No, no. That's a travel baseball. This is different. This is just rec baseball where they have their practice here. You know, we still coordinate all the games. They just say, okay, here are the towns that are also in, you know, your area, and they'll want to play you. So then we call and we set up all the schedules. We still do the scheduling. We still get the uniforms. We still have the practices and organize everything.
Well, I mean, I'm just going on what George just said too, is that maybe it's just a coordinator. And I guess that's what you have there now, right? The woman that's there? Is her name Karen?
She's the office person. We have Juliet that you know, is like the rec assistant.
Yeah,
And
but I mean,
then
so they're just coordinating all of
I-
these things. So maybe we never need a director again.
Well, you still need someone, I mean, you still need someone
Okay,
in
but
that.
when your term is up,
The
you're
next
gonna
super-
throw another $100,000
No,
back
the
in
next
the
supervisor's
budget?
gonna have to take it over. Someone's gonna have to
Do
take
you
it
know
over.
what I'm saying?
I know, but someone's going to have to
We
take
have
it
to
over
look-
because
have to look into the
you're not
future.
gonna have an 8 to 4 employee do what I do. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, like, my pain in the butt, and they know it, are the men's league softball,
Mm-hmm.
who call me at 11 o'clock at night. I can't get the lights off, so I leave my house at 11 o'clock at night, you know, any day of the week, and go and turn the lights off, or they can't get the locks open, or someone won a game and they need to know if a field is available tomorrow, and they need to know at 10 o'clock at night if they can use the field tomorrow, and they text me and I schedule their field. So
I'm just
you know.
saying that, you know, don't set us up for another, you know, 100,000 in a budget.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna do this until your term is up, and then all of a sudden we get another addition to, you know, what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's, set it up with more, if it's being a coordinator, then have a coordinator. It just would be less money, that's all.
What would be the less money part?
A coordinator would be less than a director.
Because one would do something different than the other?
Well, you'd have to look it up, the county personnel requirements.
You mean if it went back to a full-time position? Because
Right.
right now, the director, she's getting a stipend for
No, I know.
$6,000.
That's what I'm saying, though. But when Jamie's gone-
So that would be up to whatever town board, if that position had to be replaced, you could call it
Okay, but that's what I'm saying, look at it now, kind of just preparing for the future. I mean, you guys are gonna be here for another 2 more years also, so it's like, let's look at it now and see if we need a coordinator and set it up where when she's gone, it's not gonna be a $6,000 stipend.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's just,
Yeah, it
I'm
could
just
be,
trying to
it
look,
could, you know, what you're saying is it could go back to
Yeah.
like a 60 or
Yeah.
whatever it would be.
whatever it was, and
Oh, agreed
it's like
with
we're
that.
trying
Yeah,
to,
that's
let's
fine.
plan for it now.
Yeah.
Special events, state aid, and auditor line items. Under special events, there appears to be no budgeted amount,
okay.
but you have special events.
I think they're on a different one.
I'm sorry, let me just, okay, so, yeah, so special events, well, Yulia, we looked at this, all the numbers zero out for the events,
I mean,
correct?
most of our special events charge a very nominal. Some are free, and some charge minimal fee, so it's a break-even So like a pumpkin
For
decorating.
yes, for example, the
For
pumpkin
pumpkin
decorating.
Yeah, right.
It
So a lot
pays
of
for
it's
the
if they get pumpkins, it's just,
pay
it
to come in, so it's,
Okay, so you keep it zero.
They're not-
until you figure out
yes,
what's coming in,
recoups the
and then you put it in.
cost.
right.
Yeah.
They're not, those are not money makers though either, like the pumpkin decorating, or we do pastries and painting now. Like, it's not to make money. Yeah, we do that on Saturday mornings, pastries and painting.
At this store. State aid. That's,
So the only state aid that is budgeted and set is the per capita aid, the old AIM that's been the same for probably 15 years, the 58,000. Any other state aid, if we get a grant, it will, we'll record it in revenue then. And we'll adjust the budget as an adjusted budget, yeah.
and the auditor line.
So we have a auditing firm that comes in once a year to do our audit.
Didn't they used to come here and give a whole report to the public?
They will, once this is done. It's in draft form,
Because I don't remember them coming.
so they'll be here when it's finalized.
But we have to be audited every year.
Yeah.
We have,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
so we are,
I knew we had a private auditor, not
Right.
just the comptroller's office, but we had a private one.
Correct, they do.
oh, and then the
Yeah.
DARE program, so the DARE was taken out by the school district.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
So if we, and Kevin, and if we want the DARE program back in the schools, we have to
We would
fund
have to
it.
pay for it.
So that's the issue there. And we didn't necessarily know that we weren't no longer getting the funding,
Well,
right?
we didn't know, for 2024, we didn't know at that point that they weren't going to pay us. But for 25, we do, so it's out of the budget.
Number 11? So we did all that.
Wow, look at us jump right there.
Well, we did
I know.
everything else. Okay, conservation and climate smart budget. We
So-
provide the details on the conservation budget, and we also know it's no budget line for climate smart.
Because, so we haven't used any money. Any money that's gone for the Climate Smart has been through grants or whatever. So if we needed to approve any funding extra, additional, then we would have to do it at a board meeting. But we haven't.
We haven't done
And I think, Ann, we currently have money, like a little.
Yes, when we ran the community solar campaign a couple of years ago, we got a $5,000 grant from NYSERDA, which we used to do our greenhouse gas inventories, but we also got $5,500 as 100 per customer bonus to the town, and some of that money is still extant. We were also in line to get $15,000 for doing our energy benchmarking of our buildings, and unfortunately, NYSERDA just pulled the plug on that funding. We're going to go ahead and do the benchmarking and hope that NYSERDA replenishes that fund at some point in the future. So we do have plans. We do have some expenditures for our website, and we also just budgeted $3,000 to do the natural resource inventory maps as an interactive website, and we're going to have to spend $500 for the software for that. But that's going to come out of our revenue from the community solar campaign.
But any money would have to be approved at a town board meeting for that.
Unallocated insurance. What is that cover?
So unallocated insurance, what number is that? I'm sorry, 12, right?
Page 15.
Oh, it's our general liability insurance, umbrella, auto.
Maybe you can make a budget for dummies.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, when we
I'd
had,
like
when we had that,
We can follow it a little bit better.
when we had that coffee with the county exec, he said that they have a great program that they use. Yes, and he said we too can have that same program for about $25,000 for it. So maybe in the future that would be great, but I just don't think we have the $25,000 right now for that budget program. I asked if we could use the county's shared service. No.
No.
You're doing a good job, just save the 25,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Where are the capital expenditures list?
So, it would be in the capital fund, and we don't have,
Projects fund, we don't really have much going on right now.
so there's no,
So if there's anything going on that's being funded by ARPA money, it's in the capital projects fund. So the work on the Old Town Hall, the study for the bike and pedestrian path, any road paving that's funded with CHIPS money goes through there. Our highway building reconstruction, which is finished, went through there too. But there's really not a lot going on. And the dam, the Lake Carmel Dam remediation is also, in the capital projects fund, which is all funded by a grant.
Yes.
Old Town Hall. Save money, stop putting money into it. I'm so against, and so many people that I've talked to put the money into that building. I just feel like, again, if you can't cut anything else, cut that out. Because you have a lot of grants, which I appreciate, you really keep an eye on them. But we have so many things going, and so many projects going, that I really think you have to start to say, which ones can we really afford?
But again, that's ARPA.
It's county ARPA that's been allocated, and at
Okay.
this point,
When you're
there's no
done, it's gonna be
changing
$1
that.
million for that building. So you're paying ARPA, which is paying for the studies and all that other stuff. Not when you have to dig up that whole, parking lot and find the septic and then repave it.
Well,
Not
we're
for
only
when
going
you're-
to do a portion, like the phase, so the whole building isn't going to be redone in the first phase, it was just going to be the downstairs.
But see, now it's phases, that's what I'm saying, it's just, you had a plan for a third building up here, it would have fit perfectly with the whole center, and it would have cost less money. You're putting money into a hole. And I just feel like it's just a waste, so, but thank you for answering all our questions. We just wanted to clarify things for people, but our taxes are going up 9%. And then in Lake Carmel and sanitation, we're getting it also.
Just, after you get done speaking, would it be all right if we take a quick?
No, I meant after we were done with the. you need a break?
I need a 5-minute
Okay.
break after this. I've had 2 cups of water.
I'm gonna
Two-
keep this-
2 minutes.
I'm going to keep this very short, I promise. I can understand everybody's really frustrated here tonight. You know, I'm a father, I have 2 jobs. Something breaks, I fix it. In a perfect world, I'd get to be able to have time to volunteer to do EMT, stuff like that. It's hard times for everybody. Like, it really, really is. Everyone's squeezed in every area. We talk about the cost of paving roads going up. That's material. Like, we're all kind of feeling it together. So I can appreciate how frustrated everybody is. I think considering it, it's a good breakdown. You know, the town worked hard on this. They did for better or worse, no matter what people think. It's concise, I think it's planned out well. I had a few ideas, they're very small, to maybe offset some of the budget. We were talking about the sanitation department in Lake Carmel, and people maybe abusing what they put in the trash. So I'm a Lake Carmel resident, and when I moved in, you know, we didn't really know what the deal was with sanitation. The neighbors would tell you this or that, oh yeah, you put a boat out there, it's fine, etc. And, you know, I had a lot to clean out of my house. It was somebody that was elderly, they were infirm, you know, got the house from them. And I used Perfect Carting, I filled up like 3 dumpsters. I didn't know where to find a dumpster because I wasn't familiar with the area right away. I wondered if there was some sort of mailer that went out to people, maybe just annually, in the Lake Carmel district, saying, hey, just so you know, if you're doing renovations, instead of maybe going through the building department or anything like that, just like a little meet and greet flyer. You know, this is too big. This is a special day. We have the, Kent Recycling Department, which, the recycling center that I'm a member of, and I think is awesome. You know, I don't need to use it, but it's cool. You know, we like that, young families moving in. Something like that, I think, could actually go a long way in terms of the amount of buildup we get in the landfills. And it's just a piece of paper, goes in the mail, done.
That's a great idea. We should do it twice a year.
Thanks.
Just to remind everybody.
It's on the website now, though, isn't it?
But mailers are expensive, stickers are better, that they can just stick on the pails.
Stick them on their garbage cans.
Website is free. Go ahead.
It's on the
It is
website.
I got 2 more.
Go ahead.
They're equally chiclety, I'm sorry. It's like, you'll save $2,000 maybe. Is anybody here familiar with the Skyhawks? I know it might be part of the Lake Carmel Advisory Committee's area of expertise. They're a small group, it's private, that does classes now at Edward Ryan Park for soccer for
Yeah,
tots.
that's who we use Skyhawks, yeah.
Yeah,
For
no, yeah.
for recreation, we use it for the 3 and 4-year-olds
Yeah, no,
before they're
it's-
ready for.
It's wonderful, my 2-year-old's doing it.
Okay.
And it was like $100 or something like that. They had a hard time finding employees. You know, they outsourced to the high schools, and, the kids just didn't really feel like doing it, so 2 people out there. I mentioned to them offhand, I think a lot of the parents would like to volunteer, help out with something like this. Maybe there would be some sort of opportunity to pay into the town and have the parents, you know, do the work, sort of like Little League. And she was pretty receptive to it, the owner. I
So
got her.
I'm not trying to like go against or whatever, I'm just gonna tell you, to find volunteers for our sports even,
Well,
like,
I'm the guy. I can do, I can't do EMT hours, I can do
Yeah.
soccer and helping fix
but you
stuff
know,
made
so
of
we'll
wood.
have like, say, 10 teams for baseball or for soccer or for basketball, and you send it out and you say, great, we're starting in 3 weeks, we'd love, you know, who's interested in coaching the teams? Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You send it back out, you're like, if we don't get volunteers, you know, we only have so much staff, so they can't coach every single team. You know, our staff does coach some of the teams, but we can't coach every single one of them. We need parents to volunteer. And it's, you know, I do think sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, I'll volunteer. And then when you say, well, you have to show up every Saturday from, you know, 9 to 10,
Yeah.
then, oh.
But if your kid's already in the program, you know, she could even, that's something that we mentioned to the parents that are there. If I wasn't, believe me, it sounds lovely. You know, back home, I got asked to be a Little League coach. I'm like, that sounds great. I never did it. Now that my son's there, it makes sense. Oh, look at, I can help out. The last thing, I'm
We'll
sorry.
talk to other parents and get them involved, because
I already got 'em. We got
they're
a
not
whole-
all like you.
We got a whole coalition going on at,
Maybe it's the little ones moving up. I have a little one too, so maybe it's like the next generation
Yeah,
of
there's a lot of
parents
new
that want to
families all of a
volunteer
sudden.
and stuff,
There's a
and
lot of new families, and
Let's
we love
hope.
it here, and we're, you know, trying to help out in little ways we can. I read online that there's going to be an auction for some of the sort of scrap vehicles and stuff like that from the highway department. Is this an auction house that does other things as well, or just strictly vehicles, like DOT stuff?
so that's with Richie. I think it's, that
It's just vehicles,
It's just-
Auctions International?
It's just, yeah, it's just.
it's just vehicles,
Just
highway
vehicles?
surplus.
That's what you're auctioning off, Rich.
You have to go on Auctions International, anything I auction off, you have to go on Auctions International.
But he wants
But
to know if
can
they
other
auction
things be
more than
auctioned?
Cars or vehicles.
Like, when we did there was
I can
a,
auction you if you want, Bob.
thank you. No, when we did the property auctions, what was that, last summer? And that website also carried like, you know, gold or old tools, stuff like that.
Right. So we are looking into doing, unused property, extra property that we have around the town.
Sure, yeah.
We are looking into that and getting, our assessor right now is getting together a list of it so that we can start putting that, because it'll go back on the tax roll too, but that wouldn't be the same thing that
Yeah.
Richie, you know, that Richie uses, but we're,
It'd be
Although,
probably
that's-
like what the
that's-
county.
yeah, but not
uses.
auctions and.
That's fantastic. The reason I bring it up is I know that the recycling center now does electronics pickups every Wednesday. Like they have a little shed out back of town hall.
No, that's the
We
town
have it
hall
right
does
here.
that, not recycling, the town
Also,
does.
the town takes care of that.
Yes.
Well, so during the COVID pandemic, I was doing anything I could to survive, like anything. And one of the things I was doing is I see people getting rid of old stuff. I'd fix it up. I'd sell it. A lot of the electronics that get recycled there do have good value. They have value as props for movies, believe it or not. People need boom boxes for bad 80s movies that they won't stop making. People like old VCRs. There's a lot of money sitting there. I wonder if some of that might be able to, you know, it's tough because then you got to store it, but you know, if there's an auction going on already, maybe it's 5 bulk lots of vintage electronics. It's a few $1,000s, but it's just an idea. That's all. That's everything.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
If you have those skills, you might want to think about volunteering with Sustainable Putnam when they organize a repair cafe. They do that periodically.
That's very cool.
All right, we're gonna take just a 2-minute break so that Councilman Ruthven can go to the bathroom. No. Okay, everyone, we're gonna start back again. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jean Monet. I just have a couple of questions, comments, and ideas that maybe we could use moving forward. Again, my presentation is not personal, but what's personal is obviously tax money coming out of your pocket. I think that's for all of us. I have some ambulance questions that I didn't bring up because I thought it was kind of separate. I went to ChatGPT and looked and see who has private ambulance services in our area, in the county. And I don't know if this is accurate because I keep on hearing Phillipstown, but I don't hear about the other ones that was listed on this. And again, we can't take everything with ChatGPT, but they said that there was ambulances in Southeast Brewster and parts of Phillipstown that uses Empress Ambulance Services, and and Brewster now has a nonprofit EMS unit. And Is that true also? I don't know.
So-
Brewster has a non-profit EMS service, meaning that it's not
Brewster-
volunteer.
Brewster or Southeast is a very similar to what we're starting.
That's
And-
what I
And they're
was wondering.
expanding it greatly. It's getting
Right.
bigger over there. They're probably one of the, from what I understand, they're one of the busiest of the ambulance corps in the county.
Okay, so.
Just their location with the interstates and everything
Yes.
else. Patterson has a municipal run one. Carmel has a municipal one
Right,
that
they
that
have it
has
here.
just, the one in Mayapack Falls is closed, and Carmel's
Yes.
taken over that entire district, all the way down through there, running out of here. I think they're gonna keep a
Right,
substation down there.
that's what some of the chat stuff.
Putnam Valley Ambulance, and I just drove by it the other
Yeah.
day, I'm not sure, but it looks like they're building a great big brand-new building right next to where their other building is. That's what they're building down there, right? And then,
So
so that's
I-
another one, and then obviously Phillipstown, 'cause it's-
Well, they have half and half from what I, from
but
what I
the
read.
Empress is the comes out of the county, and it's a few buses that run out of the county, more of the quick response type of stuff. That they are helping us right now, because we're in limbo of getting full up and running. But they're also helping everybody else in the county, because, you know, this is a, what's the agreement called between the municipalities?
Intermunicipal.
It's not a shared services.
No, it's mutual aid.
Mutual aid
aid, right.
agreement that all of the ambulance corps have.
Yes.
Where if Patterson's busy and a call goes out and Kent's the next closest, Kent's gonna respond to Patterson.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Right.
And that's how it happens. And that's how it's kind of going now, that our two fire departments don't have volunteers responding, is that all the calls are going to the other towns. And they're coming to here. And to the gentleman's, what you said was correct. The town residents and of Patterson, Carmel, Putnam Valley, Phillipstown, if the bills don't get paid, those residents are paying what doesn't get paid for the Kent residents that don't have insurance. They're eating the bills, and the towns aren't happy. Our friends in the other towns are not happy about that.
Okay, so I got two other questions based on that. So now that we know that other people have been doing that, that's one. So can we use those, you know, that information they have to see how the projected cost?
We have.
We have been in contact with them.
Because I keep on hearing that we don't know how much this is gonna cost.
Because it depends on like the
How
calls.
many calls,
You know,
yeah, and
if
if
there's
they're basic.
500 calls or 300 calls,
If
it's a
they're
big.
basic or ALS,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
I know that, a little bit of that.
And one of the other
difference.
things that we're doing that may be somewhat unique, I think there's other municipalities that do this to some extent, is we're gonna be doing transports from our nursing home. Because every single time, and that's getting a little bit overwhelming for
Yeah.
the ambulance corps, and
Yes,
they're gonna be
I've heard-
helping for
that's
that
what
transport back
I've
and
heard
forth.
about
But
that.
there's income that comes in from that, from the insurance
Not,
companies.
so just to clarify,
It's a different billing.
this is
yeah.
non-emergency, this is when a resident
This
needs
is
to go to the
basic
hospital.
services.
Yes,
They
so.
call
They need to
that
get to the
basic
hospital.
services.
Yes,
Yeah,
so,
that's basic
and we will
service,
be
not
reimbursed for that,
ALS.
and
Yeah.
that's sort of more of a quote-unquote moneymaker.
Yeah.
When you
Right,
can do that
exactly.
and offer that
that's a different
service.
code billing, there's like 6 codes I was reading about also too. Okay, so, all right, so we have projected cost based on other people's, you know, again, when you're looking at how many services you have, the basic versus ALS, and what Phillipstown did versus somebody else another town did. So we could actually project this with paid workers of how much they did with that many services and how much it will cost us in the year 2025. Have we run those numbers so that we could see? Because, you know, I've heard, you know, we don't know how much it's gonna cost, and I'm saying, I think you can
Well,
figure out.
We know how many calls have come through, because they all mostly go through 911.
No, but
So-
that's not it, but I'm saying, you know, can we use other data from other towns, use it against our own data from 2023, and come out with projected costs for 2025?
Are you talking about just costs that we know will be like for equipment, stuff like that, just, so not talking about income or anything like that?
That's what
just-
I'm wondering, because
So
the billing service you're using is basically a billing service that's used for many private
Yes.
ambulance services. And I have a little knowledge about medical billing, so I read about that. So I understand that that's already coded already, you have the codes, and there's 6 or more codes that could be broken. So you really have a great deal of data from other non-volunteer ambulance services. And I'm wondering if someone could just put this into, ChatGPT or just kind of figure out, and we could get some projected cost for the ambulance service for the Q1, Q2, Q3, because it is seasonal sometimes. Ambulances go up during certain seasons versus different days of the week is also a little bit different for services. So I'm wondering.
I think so, yes.
If we could run those numbers based on our own 2023 on another town that's been running a non-volunteer ambulance service and see how much they've been paying and how much we will be paying in 2025, so that we could kind of balance the budget better and have more, figures in front of us. All right, if that could be done, running just some numbers, just asking Brewster or Phillipstown or Southeast, hey, what you guys project, what was your numbers for, as it stands for 2024, it's almost the end of the year. If we could get some of those numbers, which are more recent, and perhaps, and then use that, again, populations may be different, and various other areas may be different, but just as a go-to number that would help us to figure out how the budget's going for 2025. That's my idea. So there may be some differences, but it would give us a number. I don't know. That's an idea that I have. Okay. The other thing that was, the second part of my thing is some comments, and then the third is some ideas, more ideas moving forward. But, the idea that somebody's getting a raise, and then I think someone on the board said that they were seeing a clerk or somebody, or the police or somebody not getting a raise, and then the town board gets a raise, just was concerning to me. It was upsetting that somebody
I'm sorry,
had said.
can you?
Well, the clerks have not gotten a raise. And,
What clerks? No.
I think.
What clerks?
Someone on the board mentioned in October 15th meeting that clerks haven't gotten much of a raise, or they're underpaid,
Underpaid.
Underpaid.
All the town
Underpaid.
employees are underpaid.
Along with the police department.
Right, exactly, but then the town board just got a raise. So if somebody else is underpaid and somebody is getting a raise, I just feel the inequity in that. And I feel a little bit funny about that.
So the increase that was put in the town budget was a 2% increase across the board. So all non-union employees received a 2% increase.
Right, and the town board is getting a
This
4%.
No. I'm sorry, the highway department, they negotiate their contracts, and this year in their contract, they get a 4% increase.
And the town board is not
The
getting a
town
raise.
board gets the 2% that's across the board with everyone else, with all non-union employees. All elected officials got the 2%.
Right.
So I think the comment about the clerks was made in comparison to other towns, saying there's most of the other towns, and I think it's across the board for a lot of the employees in the town of Kent. The town of Kent has lower paid employees than a lot of the other surrounding towns in comparable positions, which is a problem with retention, to be honest with you.
Right.
We bring somebody in, they get trained as in a
But
position.
I may have some ideas about this. Okay, I may have some ideas. I think George had some ideas about how to maybe utilize more resources. Again, this will be another 2 minutes. We have a high school, we have some colleges around here. Why do we not have courses in local government that will help? I think, Chris, you're the guy who's getting grants and stuff like that. And you're also getting grants. Why not have a course designed in high school, middle school even, to get involved in local government, to help them to find grants or funds for the town? And that will inevitably help them out too, because mom and dad won't be spending so much money on taxes. But it would be a way of, renewing civic pride, or some kind of a face-to-face contact in local government to understand what makes this work. And I think, the school in the town, the board, could actually create a whole course on this. And
But-
kids could be getting credit on
We have
local
no say
government.
in this. We have no say in the school.
No, I know that.
So,
But there is some interaction with school boards and colleges, local colleges. Some people may be involved in colleges. Maybe they could initiate some of the civic courses that could help the town to lower the taxes and therefore find some other funds. I mean, that's working together. And also, the other thing is, again, using some of the technological advances of the students to help maybe load the video down on the website, I don't know, to maybe get some more efficiency in data collection so that there is less money being spent here on our, on what we need to do, and maybe again, offering a course in a school, in a college, in a high school to help us to gather data more efficiently so that we have the numbers and that maybe we could go for grants or fundraisers or whatever else is needed. And that could enter into, sometimes 5-digit, 10,000, maybe 20,000. Everything would help. It would also show that people are working together.
I can give you one example of that if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
We accomplished our greenhouse gas inventories for Climate Smart at a very low cost because we worked with Vassar College and some students who were in a summer research intern program. But to walk into a school with all of the mandates they have from state ed and say, offer this course for us, I don't think that would be feasible, unfortunately. And I have to say that in terms of being able to leverage grant funding for the town, we pay a consulting firm to do that for us because, frankly, none of us has the expertise to be able to follow those deadlines and criteria and get those applications in. So much as we would love to get more civic engagement and get more young people involved in government and in the town, that would be fantastic. We would welcome that. I don't think we're going to be recruiting those students to help us with grants, unfortunately.
Well, I think it has to go through the board or which we do also pay the school board some money there. So maybe it would be an incentive also there too. But, those are things that trying to, develop more commercial spaces and also, I think also re-looking at fees. I saw something the other day that if your car gets impounded, it's $75. Oh, the boats are impounded. It's $75 for a year. Is that true? If you do not
Lake
remove
Carmel,
your boat
yes,
by
there's a
November
fee.
1st, $75 for a year for somebody doing a bad action, and we have to move the boat.
Well,
and
we are looking at all of our fees to
Yeah,
increase
I
them
think
because a
those
lot of our
fees-
fees are
Very
much, they're much lower than
It's
anyone.
more for the guys to go out to move the boat and the gas
Yes.
and everything like that for
Mhm.
$75. Not a
Yes.
bad place to park your boat
Yeah.
for a year for
It's easier too, then you don't have to, they're doing
Right.
it for you, they're doing all the work, just get it back in the spring.
Right. So I think the fees
Mhm.
really need, that could maybe help to.
Yes, and that is something we're
defer
going
some
to be
taxes.
looking into to make
Okay.
them.
Thank you for your
Yep.
time.
Yes.
May I have time before this gentleman comes again?
Yes.
After you.
Good.
You had a good shot.
I'm gonna have that, don't worry.
I'm Clifton Harvey. I live at 120 Nimham Road in Kent. I apologize, I didn't introduce myself when I came up here first time. I have two questions about the budget. I went through the budget in detail, line by line, and made up a spreadsheet for myself on two expense items that appear in different departments. One is retirement, the other is hospital and medical, which I presume is insurance premiums. And the total for retirement for 2025 is $1,642,000. The previous year it was $1,382,000. The $1,642,000 does include, for the first time, the ambulance, which has $55,000 in there. So take that out, we've got $1,587,000 compared to $1,382,000 the previous year. That's a 16.97% increase. Now, this is, I think, New York State's pension plan. We've had a pretty good stock and bond market over the past few years. So does the state explain to you why they are jacking up the pension contributions like that?
No. No, they don't explain it to us. But from my knowledge overall, it's like a 5-year rolling average of how the investments do. So it goes in waves. So they'll give you an increase, and then the stock market does well, and then you'll have a few years of a reprieve from the increase. So they do like a 5-year rolling average kind of a thing. Right, yeah. So
And we're
that's
not
what
to that
I-
repreeve yet in the 5-year, right? We're still at
We're
the-
just at the beginning of the increase over the last, just this year and the next year.
There's no way to have another pension plan, is there?
And now we control none of that.
Yeah.
Okay, but within
The increase.
the departments, there's a huge variance. Like, for example, the court's retirement contribution for 2025 went down by $863. That's
Right.
almost 3%. And parks went down by 1.2%. However, the assessor's office went up by 193%. Went from 5,600 last year to 16,000 this year.
Right, our assessor joined the retirement system. So he was a temporary full-time with no mandatory retirement membership, and it's mandatory for him to be in the retirement system. So it's a function of payroll and what tier the employee is in. So if somebody gets a raise, we pay a higher percentage. It's a rate.
Yeah.
It's a percent. And then if you have somebody retire who was in the, tier 4 or tier 2, it's a much higher percentage that we pay into the retirement system for those people, for the older people. It's a lower percentage now, so there will be a variance, and it's always a percentage of payroll costs.
And, this doesn't affect me because I'm not in it, but the Lake Como Park District increase was 21.5%. Lake Como Sanitation was 21.6%. These are union guys, aren't they?
Yes.
And Richie, the highway department got stuck with a $45,000 increase. So you did super well to be able to hold your total budget down when you get hit with a big increase in pension.
All my guys die early.
It's also, you have to remember, there's, well, that's more for health insurance, but yeah, it's just a straight percentage of payroll, depending on who retires, and then the new people come in at a lower contribution rate.
Okay, so now could I do the same thing with the hospital medical? This is insurance, I presume.
Yes.
And the first thing I wanted to ask is that on page 28 of the budget, there's a single line for hospital medical. In 2025, it's 691,000, and 2024, it's 646,000. It's only a 6.89% increase, but why is that not departmental?
That's for retirees.
So this is post-employment?
Correct, legacy costs.
Okay. All right, so that's interesting. So in the case of hospital medical insurance, including that item, and including the ambulance, so let me take the ambulance out. 2025 I've got is 3,308,752. 2024, 3,031,715. That's a $232,000 increase from year to year, or 7.67%. Well, jacking up the taxes by 9.5%, 7.67 doesn't sound bad. But again, and of course.
That's just health insurance.
Yeah.
It's the cost, so there's a.
You can't go and get another carrier, I suppose.
No.
Okay. And then again, I've got in some departments these enormous increases. Like the court went up by 14,000. It's a 96% increase over 2024. The supervisor's office went up by 99%. The police went up by 21%.
So we have people who have, if you're a single plan, it's a much lower premium. There's only two choices. It's either single or family.
Okay.
So there's no, some,
Which is
you know, some
unfortunate.
plans, yeah, some
Because
plans
you could,
have.
it could just be a husband and
Yeah,
wife,
you know,
and it's
some
the
plans
same
have
as a family.
Spouse and wife and spouse plus dependents. But with the New York State Health, the NISHIP is just two choices. It's either single or family, and it jumps significantly from single to family.
Okay. Thank you for that. Now, if I can just make a comment. A few years ago, I belonged to an organization called Kent Fiscal Watch. It was established by the late Joyce Mitchell. Mrs. Doherty, you'll remember. And, you know, we came to we went to all the budget meetings, even the workshops. And, you know, didn't seem to have much effect. But we did, to follow up on Mr. Baum and Mrs. Doherty's suggestions, we did often suggest that as much consolidation or combination with the other municipalities in the county that could be done, should be done. I think Richie's doing it with the county highway department. If it were possible to get the county to take some of these things on, they would need more staff, so there would be some expense that we'd have to pay, but I think that suggestion was made. And I certainly, you know, I advocated back then, and I will again, with respect, I'd like to see the town of Kent eliminate its police department. It's a third of the total budget. There are 10 police forces operating in the county of Putnam. State police, Farnstock Park Police, those are 2 states, so we pay tax for that. The county sheriff, we pay tax for that. MTA, Metro North, we pay for them, sales tax. Then there's the town of Carmel, we don't pay for them. The town of Kent, we pay for them. The village of Brewster, the village of Cold Spring. And the DEP, the city DEP, and the state DEC.
NTA, throw that in there too.
He said.
He said
Oh,
it.
did he? Okay, sorry.
I mentioned it.
Okay, okay.
10 police forces. I've been told that any one of those officers can give you a speeding ticket or pull you over for any offense. So there's a huge amount of, I mean, we're living in a police state, and quite frankly, I don't see the need, and I hope that you will come to not see the need for a separate police force in the town of Kent. This town population has hardly changed in 40 years. I think 40 years ago it was 13,000, now it's slightly less than 13,000. The last, when I was with Kent Fiscal Watch, I went through the police budget and I found out that there were 26 employees in there. And there's probably less now, I hope. But anyway, it seems to me that it's an area like the town of Putnam Valley where, you know, this police force could be eliminated. Southeast doesn't have a police force. Patterson doesn't have a police force. Putnam Valley doesn't have a police force. That's all I'll say. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Oh, no.
So, all right, so my first question is about the sewer tax. Is that being taxed across the board, not every resident in Kent?
No, only if you're in the sewer district.
I'm sorry?
Only
people
if you're in the
sewer.
sewer district.
Okay. Cross that one off. Thank you. We talked about some. I heard something about the police department getting an EV, an electric vehicle.
It was a grant that was given from the senator's office. They're giving the police department two vehicles. One is electric and one is not.
forgive me if this comes out wrong, but what is this free electric vehicle really gonna cost us? Because there's gotta be a cost, nothing's free. And not everything that's free is worth taking, like the $1 Million Bridge, in my opinion. So how much is it gonna cost us for the free electric vehicle? And why do we need it just because somebody's giving it to us?
It just looks good for him. You know, it looks good for his position, that's why it's donated, most likely, right?
Yeah, great, so auction it off. I mean, really, how much is it gonna cost us? I'm not being
Well,
facetious, I'm
it-
being serious.
if-
We have to put a charger in, or are they paying for the charger?
Well, no, we have to, the charger, we have to, but we had received a grant for the charger.
Okay.
We had received a grant for EV chargers, and we can use the money from the grant at the police department for the vehicle.
And how does that affect the generator at the police?
Good question. We had looked into that, the
Well, I
generator.
was an electrician for years, that's why. I asked.
So down the road, if we get to the point that we have a more fully electrified fleet at the PD, then yes, there would be a question of having a backup generator, because you certainly need to have your vehicles running even in the event of an emergency where there's no power.
Okay,
This
so,
But right now,
this
this is a
vehicle would not
support
be
vehicle.
used like as a patrol vehicle. It would be used for one of the administrative staffs to drive. It's not going to be on the patrol.
so I don't know if you're aware or not, but the two major EV manufacturers, Tesla and Ford, are no longer making electric vehicles. I don't know if you know that or not. They're actually Ford totally dumped the line, and Tesla is going to hydrogen. So I think electric vehicles are gonna become, I'm sorry?
Not soon.
Sooner than you think. Ford's already done it. So I don't see the purpose of an electric vehicle. I mean, I think we got plenty of vehicles in the police department, and any more cost that it's gonna incur the taxpayers, I think is,
Well, this isn't costing the taxpayers. It's from the senator's office, so you paid your taxes for that, so that's how we're getting it. It's not costing us anything, and there's no match for this. They're giving us the two vehicles. One vehicle's the EV and one's not an EV.
we take the one that's not an EV. We
I
already
know.
set up to run that.
You can't
one.
pick and choose, you get both,
Too
so
bad.
we're taking both.
Maybe-
Well, and in fact, that reduced the tax burden, because one of those vehicles we would otherwise have
Yes.
had to purchase with taxpayer money.
And that is
Well,
true.
no,
We
that-
took, we
right.
took that out of the budget. That was originally in the budget, and we had taken that out, so
Okay, so,
that was about, how much was the savings for that, Kevin? 70,000.
let me ask you a question. This is totally off the budget, but I've been meaning to stop by the last few times I came, you weren't around, so, and I can't, I come and I go. So. License plate readers. I noticed a couple of them in town, like the one on 311. Who put them there? Why are they there? And why are they, who paid for them?
That's it. Well, we're gonna get the chief up here to answer that.
You just had to get me up here. So most of those were paid for by grants, and they're shared with New York State and Westchester County. They're not run through our department. They were purchased by us through grants, put up by Westchester County, no cost to the town, and they all report through Westchester County's real-time crime
And
center.
how many are there other than the one on 311? I thought there was one on 311 also.
There's 5.
There's 5 total.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from what I understand, those cameras take pictures not only of the vehicle and the license plate, but the people in the vehicle.
Sometimes. Sometimes they can see that, depending
Well,
on
I
what
can't
kind
see
of
me
vehicle.
because I put my sun visor down when I go through. I do it on purpose, just because I really want to, throw the finger, but I'm not going to do that because I have a lot of respect for the police department. But the bottom line is, that's borderline invasion of privacy. You have something, you're peeking in people's cars. I get it. I get the whole plate thing, and I get the facial recognition thing. And I can tell you, I know for a fact, I own a security company. I was called in on a job in Greenwich where somebody pulled in and dumped a body across the street. And they called me in to get the plate number because the guy happened to back up in this guy's driveway, and we had a camera at the guy's gate. And the first thing I asked the guy was, well, you have the plate number, and another guy turned around and said, why don't you run it through the facial recognition in the...
I hate to interrupt you, but we're here for the budget. It's not about that.
The point
We're
is...
more than happy to another time.
The point is, they ran the plate and they were able to get the facial recognition 20 years ago. Here, I'm thinking, I mean, you guys do a great job. I'm in a disagreement with this gentleman over taking the police.
If you would, just keep it to budget questions.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we're here for the
He's
budget.
asking if you just keep to budget questions.
But we don't have facial recognition hooked to that.
Oh, there isn't any?
No,
No.
it's just, they're just straight license plate
They're just
readers.
license plate readers.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that if a crime was committed,
You
that we
couldn't
couldn't take that data and run it through some other AI thing to
Right.
help,
I got you.
solve the crime. But there's no facial rec on it right
All
now.
right. I was wondering, because I didn't see anything in there about that in the budget, and I was wondering who put them up and how they got there.
Westchester County put them up for
Right.
free. We purchased them on grants.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Now, back to the budget. So, we're all hopefully we're all on the same page that the economy's gonna get better in the next 4 years. I mean, I would certainly think it's going to. Increasing taxes in this town, the way that you guys want to increase them, I think is gonna cause people, I think there's a side of this that you're not looking at, okay? Most people have mortgages on their property, okay? If you all of a sudden have a deficit in your taxes, what's gonna happen is your mortgage company is gonna pay those taxes, and then they're going to crack your mortgage. They'll add that $400 or $500 a month right onto your mortgage until that deficit is paid. That's caused a lot of people to go into foreclosure back in like 2009, 2010. That was part of the bubble. So I would caution you to consider that with this tax increase. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is that although you're saying that this new assessment is a third, and a third, property values in this area are up. Nobody's assessment's going down. We all know it. Now, keeping that in mind in reality, because that's the reality. The reality is, these houses, when was the last time the houses were assessed? The properties were assessed? How long ago?
Kathy?
It's been a very long time.
When was the last time the houses were assessed, properties were assessed?
In my time, maybe?
Exactly.
It was a what? It was a,
So,
Yeah.
10, 11 years ago. So, obviously, all the values of the houses are all going up. Nobody is getting a decrease. Nobody's staying the same, they're all going up. I would ask
You're
that.
still
You're
misconstruing the
missing
whole
whole
idea.
point. The tax
You don't
levy
get it.
stays the same. The amount of money the town has to raise by taxes is flat.
So you're telling
when
me
you say
that-
100%
That's
of
what
the
we're telling
houses
you,
are gonna
yes.
go up, think of how much more over the tax levy that would be. The tax levy
That's
stays the same.
exactly my
The
point.
But the tax levy
But
doesn't
the tax
go up.
levy stays what it is.
So
So the mill rate gets adjusted. The amount people pay per thousand of assessed value will be adjusted so that we're still bringing in the same tax money that the town needs to run according to the budget.
So, but if you take a house that's 300,000 and now it's 500,000, those taxes are going up, right? Yes or no?
Yeah, it's relative
It's a
to
yes or no
others.
answer.
Go talk
On
to the
average,
assessor. It's not a yes or no answer. Go talk to the assessor. It's a very complex thing. I don't even understand all the details all the time. But the number's the number. It's just who pays what that gets adjusted. And it's all in relation to everyone else. So
I understand that. I got that
If your house
part
is
of it.
over-assessed, then the assessment will be reduced, and then your taxes will go down a little bit. Your neighbor's house might be assessed higher, and then they're gonna pay a little bit more. It's not like everyone's gonna pay more and they're gonna collect more taxes.
The point that I'm trying
I
to
know
make
what you're
here
trying to say. You're trying to
is-
say everything is more valuable than it was in 2013.
Absolutely.
I don't think, and this is just a guess, I don't think that the assessment values that the assessor has on your property today is the same as what it was in 2013.
Oh, I guarantee it's
think
not.
what it means is that it's time to get out there and have professionals go out and reassess all the properties. We
Right.
know they've all got more valuable.
Right. So then the assessments are all gonna go up.
They're not.
That's
Some
just-
will.
They're gonna.
They will, but the tax levy doesn't go up.
The assessment is just used to allocate the tax levy. These gentlemen the board keeps telling you, the amount of tax that's required to be raised to cover the budget has to be allocated to every property. And
I got that.
It's done on the basis of valuation. It works out, the way it's done is that they divide the tax levy by the total assessment to come
Right,
up with
and then you
what's
pay
called
per
a mill
thousand,
rate,
right?
A
I
rate
got that.
per $1,000 of your assessment.
Right.
And why we got screwed on the education, the school taxes, is because
our town was the only one that didn't raise its,
Right.
do the revaluation.
It was at 100%. I
And
don't know how it
New
got to
York State-
67.
New York State has, and if you watch that video and you understand it, I'll come and consult with you. But New York State has a mechanism that they call equalization, because, you know, we're not the only county.
I don't know if they can hear you.
So there's often this difference in valuation between what's perceived to be market value and what the assessed value is. New York State has a formula that says, well, we're going to equalize that. That equalization is a formula. It's got nothing to do with valuations, in my opinion. That gentleman that came down to try and explain it for New York State talked a whole lot of bullshit. It was just total bullshit.
Don't hold back.
No, but really, watch the video and see if you
Okay.
can understand what he said.
Well, if I can,
But the
if
result
you put it up on the website, I'll watch it for sure.
The video is on the
Is it on
website.
there?
We'll just point you to the right meeting.
Because it jacked up the mill rate in Kent by, you know, $3 per $1,000 of assessment. And all the other towns dropped down.
I'd
All
like
right,
to point
so
out one other thing, sir.
where-
When you made that comment about $400 or $500 a month increase, could we please
Thank you.
reiterate what the expected
So it's, yeah, the,
Well,
increase
that
per
was my
year
next
is
question.
going
My
to
next-
be for the average household?
My next question, hold on a minute, that was my next question. So you have two different scenarios here. You have the Kent tax, the town tax, and then you have the district tax, the Lake Carmel. So what exactly are you looking at as far as an increase townwide as opposed to the, you know, what people are paying now, how much you think it's gonna go up a year? And in the Lake District, how much you think it's gonna go up a year
So-
with the sanitation and everything?
okay, so the Lake Carmel, I don't know, Yulia, if you have those numbers. I have the 9%, the 9.5% for the townwide tax so this is based on a $375,000 assessed house, because it's different for everyone. It's a total of $160 a year.
More, 160 additional.
Yes,
All right, now,
that's the town.
that's a town. Now tell me about the Lake District.
So Yulia would have, but it's on a smaller amount.
It's on a much smaller amount.
Mhm.
I don't know if we can get it from staff. We can get it from the.
Give me an idea. Is it,
She'd-
I mean, if you're talking 100,
I cannot guess.
if you're talking $160 on 375 on the town, you're talking 50 or 60 bucks, talking 100 bucks?
Additional $25, $30, $35, $40.
And then you're probably talking, if it's 12% on, that's not including sanitation, then you're talking about another, you're probably talking $10, $20 for sanitation.
You're looking, so overall, you're looking at probably about $250 annual.
A year, 250. Okay. So then that answers the other question of the bubble, because that will not create a bubble. $250 is, you know, $20 a month if you get down to it. It's not that big of a
Well,
deal.
that's why I'm glad Ann brought that up, because you had said
Well, that's
before.
what, that was
Yeah.
actually my very next question, was how it affects, you know, county-wise, townwide, how does it affect it? Because that's really what it boils down to, is, you know, is it affordable? And though I'm not for electric vehicle, for police departments,
I'm
I
not
will
really,
say this.
I'm not really either, as Kevin knows,
I'm
but.
I'm not an EV guy. I like my gas motors. But let me just say this, because I'm not with you on the police department. When I bought my house up here 25 years ago, I could tell you that there was a lot of stuff in this town. A lot of stuff that's not nice. There was a lot of drugs in this town. Am I right? There was a lot of problems in this town. And I could tell you that this place was cleaned up. It wasn't cleaned up by the residents. It was the police department that cleaned it up. And if you're looking at, the chief told me that there's a total of 19 people in the police department. 19 people over a 7-day shift, 3 shifts a day. Doesn't seem like a lot. You probably have two patrol officers and a sergeant for every shift. And then the chief is in probably, you know, once a day, and then you got a dispatcher and stuff. To me, I think that's worth its weight in gold. That's my personal opinion. You know, I don't know how everybody else stands here.
Putnam Valley.
Because I live here, because I like my lake view, because I don't mind paying the extra $20 for, I thought we were talking hundreds of dollars here. I mean, if you're talking about, I think that you're gonna have a twofold thing here. Now that I'm glad I came and I learned a little bit more about it. You know, I think that you're gonna definitely have an increase in sales tax and stuff, because I think the economy's gonna get better. I think we're gonna see a decrease in a lot of the cost of things, because the economy will be better. You know, the price of fuel will drop, all of those things, fuel matters to everything. People don't realize it, but, you know, you deliver a loaf of bread to the store, it matters how much they pay for the store, you know, to get it to the store. That adds on the cost to the loaf of bread. So people don't realize that, but as the economy gets better, I think that's gonna help with the shortfall that you have now in the savings. And I mean, you're talking about, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not thrilled with tax increases, but for me personally, I don't really think it's that big of a deal, in my opinion, as long as it's not creating issues where people are gonna lose their houses because they're going up hundreds of dollars a month.
I think people also relate it back to the school district. And when your taxes go up 2% on the school district, it's significantly more than even that, because it's a bigger budget. So I think that's.
Jamie, imagine me coming to you and saying to you, you're being taxed on 60% of the value of your house. That's going to 100%. Wait a minute. If I'm paying $6,700, does that mean I'm going to $10,000? No. Well, on top of that, they want to raise the taxes another 19% in the district. Plus, wait a second, that's another 20% on top of this is what's going through people's minds, and it's not clear.
But that's why it's important to come to meetings and to, you know, to learn everything, so you know.
If I may make another suggestion, okay? I recently purchased another company. A woman that worked for me thought I was bat crap crazy for sending out snail mail, letters. We sent out 500 customers. It cost me a fortune to send letters in the mail. A fortune. I'm telling you, every time I did it was $1,000. But, and I'm talking 500, not 12,000, right? But the response that we got from the letters that we mailed compared to the 6 email blasts that we got. I have 120,000 emails in my email box. You know what happens when you send me an email? If I don't know what's coming, it goes delete. Because I don't know, you know, and I look at enough stuff every day. I don't have to look at extra stuff, right? So for me, if you sent out a letter once or twice a year saying, hey, look, this is what's going on, or you don't have to send out a 55-page budget to people, but say, hey, listen, you know what? Here's what the thing is. Check the website. You know, we may change the dates, but these are tentative dates. Come and talk to us about the budget. Come and talk. If you sent out a letter to people, you would get people that wanted to come and talk about it. I mean, I don't know how many people are here from the group that I created on the website, but I don't think you had this many people in the last couple of meetings, you know?
This many people?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? This is 155,000% more than usual.
All because 1 or 2 people open their mouths. That's the point. You know, the point is, I got the wrong impression about what was going on. Like I said, I'm not thrilled about a tax increase. Do I think you guys deserve a raise? Well, I haven't had a raise in a couple of years, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve one. You know, I think that everybody should be treated fairly. I think that our guys here do a great job. I think the sanitation does a great job. I think the police department's great. Richie, I think it's doing a phenomenal job. Do I think you guys should deserve it? Yeah, I think you deserve it. Just try not to do it on our backs. And come 2026, if you could cut out that $250, then cut it out. You know what I mean? That's all we're saying. I mean, at $250, I think everybody here can agree that that's not the end of the world, you know, but you answered a lot of questions. I personally appreciate, you know, you guys all taking the time and stuff. You know, I know things get a little bit crazy sometimes. I'm glad the good old boys in blue are here tonight to keep things straight. But, you know, the bottom line is, and you know what? And if we had to call someone from the sheriff's department, it would have taken a long time to get here.
They wouldn't be here yet.
Exactly. Exactly. If someone got hurt, the ambulance, forget it. They might be in convulsions by now. Anyway, I am satisfied with the answers that I got. Like I said, I'm not thrilled about a tax increase, but I get it. We haven't had one in years, and you know, and you stuck it out through a really crummy economy. And you know what? You got to be. Me personally, I'm thankful for that. I'm sure everybody here can agree with that. Just can't. You know, the more that you try to bleed people in a bad economy, the worse it gets. So whatever you guys can do and ladies can do to, you know, just keep an eye on our money, we appreciate it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm done. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
Anyone else?
So now we get to start our real meeting.
Well, no, now. Are you getting up to speak or no? You're okay. No, I'm just making sure. I don't want to cut anyone
Henry's
off.
coming up. Henry's
Do
coming
you want me
up.
to read something?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were.
Hi. Also, I want to do is thank you, people. I listened to you on TV till you got the 2-minute break here, and I had to come down. I mean, number one, you should get a gavel, and when these people start, stop.
I have nothing up here.
Well,
She'd be hitting me with it, Henry.
but it was unbelievable how
My boots are too high to take off.
how a few people were very rude. I've had experience needing the ambulance around here several times in the last 50 years, and they always showed up. The police always showed up. I definitely don't want to destroy that. I don't want to wait for an ambulance from Phillipstown. We have to have it. We got to look at the economics, but that's what you're for. I know you're trying hard, and if people don't want to use the ambulance, they can drive themselves to the hospital. That's the way it is. You're going to pay for it, or you're not going to pay for it. I really want to thank you. I understand there was a little while back, there was people complaining about your 1% raise. If people offered me a 1% raise for doing what you were just doing tonight,
2%.
there'd be a vacancy. And so thank you. But what people don't realize, things have gone up so much. I mean, we charged at least 25% more in the last 2 years for my products.
Yeah.
My dumpsters, you're talking about the garbage. My dumpsters in the last 8, 9, 10 years have doubled in cost. I have my own dumpster. I don't depend, well, Sean and I have a dumpster. But it's just doubled. And people don't realize that just everything is so expensive right now. And people have to make more money. And there's probably not, well, there's one person that says they didn't get a raise this year, but I bet you everybody got a raise. Well, then you better get another job. You better get a better job. There's people making zillions of dollars out there. And I'm not making a lot of money more myself, but the economy is not letting a lot of people make a lot of money, but we have to have it. This is the greatest town. And I just want to thank you for everything you're doing, and just remember what everybody's complaining about. And this is the American way to get everything together and work it out. And thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Henry.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next year, let's just do the budget hearings on their own night, so then we don't have a whole nother town board meeting to do after the budget hearing.
Hey, Bobby.
Hi, folks. Having a good evening?
Great so far.
It's almost breakfast time.
Yeah, exactly. I have budget stuff, but I think it's going to go pretty quickly. Yes, I mean that sincerely. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge, excuse me, the terrific works that all the town departments do. You guys do a hell of a job. I wouldn't want to be sitting in your seat, to be honest with you. I appreciate what you do. It's appreciated. We've come a long way, and it appears we have a lot more to conquer. I applaud this board for entertaining our questions tonight. Thank you very much. That said, I do have 5, I know it's a lot, sounds like a lot, 5 quick areas that I'd like to inquire about. The first, the fire department. I don't want to start a whole nother dialogue, but question that came up in speaking about the fire department and the ambulance. If we've taken on the responsibility of $650,000, what is the chances of the fire department reducing their budget by $650,000?
You want to take that one?
Yeah, so it's not going to happen.
Okay.
And there's a couple of reasons why. They've given us an ambulance. However, they still, we allot them through their budget, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm learning through this whole process, and it's been a long process. The town collects money for the ambulance. Kent's a little different than Lake Carmel. Lake Carmel's its own fire district, right? Am I getting the two confused?
Yes,
Kent's its own fire district, so they have their own voting for their own budget out there. Lake Carmel is what's the difference? Whatever this is.
It's
this
a department, not a district.
This one's kind of is raised through taxation and divvied out by the town to them. So we sat through a lot of meetings with them, a couple times, just on their budget. And their budget has been pretty flat for many, many years there. We haven't given them a whole lot of increase on anything. However, their cost of replacement vehicles has been going up, and they keep a pot of money for that. They try to get a little bit every year to try to buy a new fire truck, which is,
They're close to $1 million, aren't they?
it's just a phenomenal amount of money. So through those talks, we realized that, even though, and they're still gonna have an ambulance too, you gotta remember that. They still have one there. I don't know if Kent does anymore, but
No, the
Lake,
Carmel-
Lake Carmel certainly does.
Lake Carmel is, just a side note, Lake Carmel is going to attempt to get their ambulance out for one shift a week.
Oh,
So-
okay.
All right.
Thank you for, I had no
Sorry,
idea about
that's
that,
just
so thank
a-
you. Appreciate that.
But, so when it came down to budget time and they were asking for an increase, or they didn't ask for an increase, they said, please don't change our budget.
It's actually down 1%,
It
isn't it?
did go
we
down
cut
a
it a
little
little
bit,
bit.
but we wanted
Yes,
to
we
keep,
cut it a
we
little
wanted, they still needed to collect monies for the replacement of their other vehicles.
Sure.
And it's not, we're not talking the 600, it's not $600,000 a year, it's what, 15 or,
For what, I'm sorry.
the money that was for the
Oh,
ambulance.
yes,
It was
yes,
like
yes.
15,000 that we didn't take away from, we would have taken 600,000, but we asked, can we reduce the
We did, we
expenditure cost of the 16 for maintenance of the ambulance or whatever? But in the end, for the negotiation for the agreement of the ambulance, we decided to leave it in.
In
And
order
that's
for
the
them
truth.
to give us to give us the ambulance.
Because the cost of going for
And
us to buy a
also-
new one would have been
And also to let
extraordinary.
us use their.
And the-
Oh,
and
and
the
reuse the
substation.
substation.
Terrific,
So we
thank
did
you.
get, we did get something out.
No, I appreciate that. I had no idea. It was an education. Thank you. I honestly appreciate that. Number two, moving on. Yuli, I think I got to point this one at you. Reserves. At the very beginning of the meeting, we talked about it, and how our reserves are getting depleted and potentially going to be eliminated. I know this is probably not the best place for the conversation, but I don't want to wind up in the same place again, like what the school did. And I hate to even bring that up, but we don't want to wind up in that same position. What are we doing? And I look at you and I look at the town board for our reserves for the future. How does that incorporate into the budget this year? Are we not putting anything into reserves? Are we required to put X amount into the reserves? If you could just educate me, I would appreciate that.
Sean, do you want to just pass this to Bobby, the numbers? I know yours is better.
Right, so if there's a surplus in a year, it adds to our fund balance. So what's been happening is we've been depleting reserves. That's why we ended up in the position we're in with the tax increase. So there's no reserves to use, so the budget strictly has to be balanced with the levy.
Okay.
So, and we, that's,
That's a list of of how much was taken out of the,
Yeah, that's just use, so that's a use of fund balance over 10 years.
you might have seen it already.
So 2014, 120,000, roughly. 15, 219,000. 2016, 543,000. 2017, 670,000, roughly. 2018, 576,000. 2019, these are monies that we took out of our balance because we did not raise taxes. And because we did not raise taxes, it's a great thing as a politician to go out there and say, hey, we did not raise taxes. But look what it's done, it's devastated our infrastructure here. The police department, their new cars that they have are running round the clock because we had no new cars because we didn't raise taxes back then.
Zeros are not good for,
Also on this same piece of paper is the 2 water districts and the sewer district. We have no capital reserve for those either. So if something catastrophic happens to the water district, they have no money, $0. And even if they took and put $5, per household there each year, we'd have something. But, whoever in the past just didn't do that. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but it is what it is. These are the truth. And it's, like a Charles Dickens, Ebenezer, right? The budget doesn't stand alone. There's the budget of the past, the present, and the future. And this ghost is coming from the past to haunt us of no tax raising, no infrastructure. If you're a business person, the motto, you have to spend money to make money, right? So we have to increase the budget each year to pay the people here properly. Again, we're the lowest paid clerks. Parks Department, they don't have a bathroom, do they? No, they don't. Our parks crew does not have a bathroom. There's a porta potty. Lake Carmel,
yes, they have
sorry.
a porta potty.
They have a porta potty, and it was fine when it was a bunch of dudes there. They find a tree or whatever. Now there's a mix. There's there's a woman I believe that works there now.
It was a summer help.
Was it a summer help? But
Yes. Mhm.
So they have a porta potty for the winter, for the summer. That in extreme weather, a porta potty is not a cool thing, right? And you can't wash your hands in there, so it's not right. And we didn't put it in the budget this year, but they deserve the right to have a darn bathroom. And so there's many things that we've looked over that we haven't put into this budget that we would have liked to have, but we're repairing what was done to us in the past years. And that's just one of many things. I could talk all night. No, but I can't talk all night.
We know you can,
But we do still have reserves, right? We still have a
Yes.
healthy reserve amount.
Well, not
I don't
hefty,
want
but we
people to
still
think
have-
that we've spent all our
We
reserves.
still have our town, the general fund and the general fund reserve, we're still at almost 10%. So we're supposed to be closer to 15%. So hopefully, as.
It'll grow.
We'll get there.
And
And stay under
again,
the cap in the
same
coming
question,
years.
just moving forward, to continue to put into that fund balance or those reserves.
I think we would have to be, we would stay under the cap, the tax increases, if they're under, if they're within the cap, I think it would be fiscally responsible and would add to the reserves.
Thank you. Don't walk away. Specific to Lake Farm. I'm just gonna say this, and I hope I'm not gonna offend anybody, but the budget. It's been expressed a bunch of times about, I'm gonna use Lake Carmel as the example, 18+% of a potential increase within that park district. And if I heard correctly, and I did document it, Julie, I believe you said it was gonna be 5% increase.
Well, 5% increase for the budget. The operating budget is 5%.
So, and that's what I guess I'm trying to understand, and if I can use the term, I think somebody else may have brought it up. What can we do in the future to literally dumb this down? Not the $25,000 that the county is so gracious to pass along, but what can we do for our citizens to dumb it down, to understand this? Because I'll be honest with you, I've been looking at budgets for a few years. I'm no expert, I'd never admit that or even say that. But I think that's where a lot of the confusion lies. I've had a bunch of my fellow residents within Lake Carmel look at it, we've had conversations, and we look at this budget and it shows 18+% in there, and now we come tonight, it's the 5%. I still don't fully understand. I know you just explained it, but is there something we can do in the future to kind of, again, use that verb or that terminology, dumb it down?
Well, maybe we can
Sure,
look into other.
This is just a formal, it's a kind of a pre-formatted way of presenting the budget, but I'm sure there's a summary sheet that we can modify that would be more of an informal presentation that could be shared with the residents.
Great,
That's not $25,000.
I hate it too, Bobby.
It's tough.
It's all over the place.
It's tough.
Yulia looks at
It
those
is, and
numbers
we
and
go-
understand them. I look at them and they just
But
start
we
bouncing all
sit
over
there and
the
we
place.
say what page, and Yulia always knows what page we're going to, and none of us know what page we're going to, so.
Thank you, that's appreciated. Number 4, 19.18, is that the correct number that we're at right now for an increase? Am I understanding that
Yeah,
correctly?
the
Overall
total,
budget?
yeah,
Okay.
overall levy.
Okay, and I'm just gonna put it out there, my personal feelings, it's a hardship. I know it doesn't expend to be a lot of money per se per year, $250, $260, I think is what we came up with, but it does get over time, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, especially this board that's done a lot. The chances of us not increasing over the next few years is gonna be difficult or probably near impossible. Those numbers are gonna continue to add up. The cost of goods, I understand. I'm just gonna give my little speech here. I understand the cost of goods or the increase in cost of goods can't be controlled somewhat for those costs. There's nothing we can do about it. But we can control other areas, and would like to know if each department in the area is reviewing and can show us, citizens, the initiative that has been done to reduce potentially within each department. I think there was a mention, and I could have these numbers wrong, Jamie, I'm going to look at you because I know you've mentioned these in one of the past meetings. The past, I guess it's 2 years now, right? The first year of the 2 years, we had an increase of 2%, if I'm not mistaken. Do I have that right? Do you know? Does anybody know?
For what?
For budget?
What year?
So it would be, this is going to be 25, 24, 20, 23, we had a 2% increase,
2%,
right?
okay, yeah,
And
so
then we
sorry,
did-
I didn't know what you, I didn't know
I'm sorry,
what
I
we
should have
were.
been more definitive in it.
Mhm.
And then we did 4%, right?
Were we at 4?
Last year? For 24
at
was
4.
4%, right?
Mhm.
And now we're going to 9%. These are just things to take into consideration. Those numbers are continuing to increase. Obviously, we don't, and we just can't afford it anymore. Again, it's quite a hardship. I just want to make sure that it's mentioned out there. Finally, what are, I'm infamous for asking this question, guys, as you know, being on the Lakes Committee, what are the next steps? What is happening tonight? What is happening tomorrow? What's happening next week? And what is the ultimate day that this budget needs to be presented to whomever? And if you could explain who that those people are, or is it the county? Is it the state? How does it work?
So we will close the public hearing tonight, and I'm gonna see if we can vote on adopting it tonight, because we won't have a full board at the next meeting, which is next week. So,
And it has to
and
be
it needs to be
adopted.
adopted by the 20th. And then it gets, I deliver it to the county. I'm sorry, Yulia.
No, yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Oh, it gets delivered to the county, and they file it. And that's as far as
I'm sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off. You said
Yeah.
next week, the 20th, is that what you said? That's what it has to be adopted by this town board?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be adopted by that date. That's the very last date.
Okay, and then just backing up, I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Next week's town board meeting, there's not going to be?
The full board will not be in attendance at the
I
next
won't be
town.
available next week.
I wasn't throwing you under the bus. I was just
All right.
trying to, but
And-
so
and you'll-
I think it's important for all 5 of us to vote on it. And that's my concern.
Understandable,
So
understandable.
that's what I'm saying, that all 5 of us will not be here on Tuesday.
Sure.
We're still having a meeting next Tuesday.
Okay. So just backing up one more step, I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally going to finalize with this. So that puts us at, actually tonight, but we still have the potential for a change in this budget until next week. But you're just not willing to do that at this point because the full board will not be available, is that correct? In other words, I guess I'm going to pose this question a different way. Are we literally going back and looking at where we can save literally dimes, nickels, and pennies at this point in time? Are you, as a town board, I'm asking you that in general, not individual, have we done that? Have we honestly done that?
Honestly, we have
I'm not ready for that.
I'm gonna
increase.
tell you something,
Feels like-
we have combed through every single, and I'm telling you this, and believe me, don't believe me, I don't really care. I've personally, I know everyone else, we've spent nights looking at this, like, I mean, pennies at this point, pennies. Like, I literally would go with Yulia, I'd be like, we could take $100 out of here and then we would save that. I mean, it's, it's not going to make any difference at this point for finding, there's no money to be found.
I mean, unless the
If that-
insurance company comes back and the night shift rates come out for health insurance, and they are much less than what we anticipate, which is highly unlikely.
But we don't, and we don't know when that happens. That's the problem with night shift, with the health insurance. They know when all of our budgets are due, right? They know when all the town budgets are due. But they don't give you the increases or whatever it's going to be until after your budget's already passed. So you have to put in a number of what you hope it's going to be. And you have to be realistic. You can't put in 2% because it's gonna be 2%.
I understand,
So-
I understand. As long as I've got your commitment and this board's commitment that we've honestly done our due diligence. I know, and I hate to keep bringing it up, folks, we went through it with the schools, with that whole budget, and they went down and started nickel and diming, if that's the phrases that I could use. I want to be assured, as a resident, that that's what's being done by this town board. I appreciate what
I
you guys do.
assure you that we have gone through line by line to find every penny that we can, and it's just to the point that there's nothing
it.
else to cut.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate it. Appreciate the work you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for calling me today to let me know
sure,
the
no
kids are gonna
problem.
be late.
Can we start the actual
Wait
town
a
board
minute,
meeting? No.
you get calls?
I get personalized phone calls when the kids are gonna be late from the bus.
I gotta call him when I got a problem.
Susan Kotzer, Town of Kent. So this past summer, the town spent time and money posting signs of events at the town center. This was a cost to the taxpayers. I don't know if the town made any money off of these events, but they were widely publicized for these events. But this town budget was not as advertised. I know you say it's on the website, but not everybody runs to the website to find out what's going on. So, as somebody said earlier, more coverage of when these important issues are here. At the October 15th public hearing for the tax cap to be raised to the town of Kent, never in my mind did I think that it would go up to 9%. From 2%. And then I guess Bobby said 4%. So now it's at 9%. And I'm sure you've done a lot of work, but you ran for office, you're elected officials, and I think if you could take a little cut in your pay, it would be very helpful to those people that aren't as affluent as we all are. Thank you very much for your time.
Short. I just wanted to see if Yulia could put a summary together to this budget that the public can look at and see where we are and understand it, because it is very difficult. So I was wondering if you could do it for this, even if you're passing
Right,
it
just put
tonight,
something,
just
like a summary online or
a summary
something.
online.
Okay.
I'd
That's a
appreciate
great
it.
idea.
Thank you.
Yes.
I used to do that years ago, like the first page was
Yeah.
in
Okay.
lay terms.
Okay, so then we'll do that.
Take out all the fluff in there and just put the numbers down in a row.
Yes, we will. And moving forward, we'll try for next year to have something a little bit more user-friendly. That's not, that people can,
Yeah.
that we can all.
That I can read.
Mhm. So that's something we can do moving forward.
Yeah, I think when people ask about the website, they want mailers or it's other stuff. No, go to the website. It's the most official document that we have to post that everybody goes to without costing us monies to send out mailers or anything. It's not that hard. Just go to the website.
It was under finance, and no one knew that.
We may need to,
have been with the public hearing and then the backup.
Well, so then next time we'll have to put it under the, like, there's like, or we can put a banner
That's
and
what
you
you
can
want.
click
You want a
it.
banner that
So then
says
the
tentative
banner,
budget
then the
right on
banner
top.
takes, you click the banner and it's, maybe it'll take you
That's
to
what you need.
that I can
the-
agree with. A little revamp on it, a little easier. Totally agree with that. But otherwise, go to the website and read up on stuff. Everything's on
But
there.
just for clarification, that's not a new location where the
No,
budget
it's
is.
been there
The budget
for-
has been there like for as long as I've been here. It's always been under that same heading.
Okay.
And the website is kind of user-friendly, where there's a bar that you can search and put in budgets, and it will take you to it. I find, people call all the time because they can't find something, and I have to go a line by line with them to find it. But if you use that search, you'll find it. But it hasn't moved. It's not in a new location. It's in the same location.
But we'll make it more user-friendly next year then.
Wanda Schweitzer from Lake Carmel. Except I'm from the Stone Age because I don't have a computer, so I find it quite interesting. And I wanted to bounce off of Sue's comment regarding the usage of the signs. I think we use them for the other events, the highway signs, and I think we have 2 or 3 of them, Rich, which I think.
We own 2 little ones, the county owns the big one.
Okay. I think that would be a great asset to anything that's going to be an important subject at the town, because again, not everybody goes on a computer and goes to the different websites.
That's why an electric sign outside, that's what I want so badly, like a permanent one that's, built in or whatever.
Let's use the electric car, put it right up front, put it
Yes.
right inside.
We'll get it wrapped with all.
But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Put it up as a 2% tax rate.
Yeah, and if that's it, if I can say something, if I could
Please
squeeze it
don't.
out here before I don't, yes. But realistically, the only way we're going to help the budget in the future is with a secondary income revenue, right? Which is commercial property for this town. This has been the town of Cant since I was a kid. Nothing can be built around here. There's no development. If you stood in the middle of town and took a picture of it today, you could match it up to a photo from 50 years ago. If you stood at the Putnam County National Bank and looked either direction. So if you're really upset about the taxes, go to the planning board and sit on some of those meetings and just stare down your nose at them until they pass something that allows some construction, some commercial properties to come in to the town of Kent. That will give us a tremendous revenue. Yeah, feel free to step up here. You are.
I've been
Wait,
reading this since
is everyone
October.
good? Yulia is leaving for the night. Do we have any more
Oh, no, I
questions
think
for
you're good,
Yulia? Are we
Yulia.
all good?
But I'm on the planning board.
Okay. Thank you.
And basically, we're 70% watershed here. So a lot of things that get built, you have to look at how it affects the environment. It's a big environment factor. And that's what I've been looking at, because I agree with you. I think we need more commercial property to have more taxes, so it's less burden on the residents. I totally get it. I'm from New York City. I got that. But, you know, at the same time, you have 70% as watershed. There's a lot of environmental factors that go on, and everybody wants to build, but they don't want to look at the environment. We cannot go back and say, oh, you know, we built that real fast because we needed the money. And I understand, you know, we need the money, but at the same time, we don't want to affect your children, your children's children, long-term. You just can't. So you have to balance it, and people who want to build here have to understand where they're building. It's 70%
Right, and that's why we have
watershed.
zoning, just like the Crane project, and it seems like they're dragging their feet on it and not letting that
No,
go
we're
through.
not, no, the planning board is not. There's a lot of factors. Don't forget, there's not only in the planning board with that Crane project, with the Murrow project, you got the DEP, you got the DOT. They gotta get through all those regulations. There's 5 other places they have to get through regulations, which will be a year or 2. So whatever we're
Yeah.
doing with them, we're doing it, trying to get it in a timely fashion, but there's still 5 other regulatory agencies that project has to go through, which we are not deterring them from entering into relationships with all 5 regulatory places.
And you were not at the last workshop, Sean, and it went smoothly.
Very
And they
nice.
were very
But I have
happy.
been at workshops,
You
and I
did
have been
not
at
come to
meetings.
the last
and
workshop.
it is something that has been, since I was a kid, the town of Canton. And if we're gonna fix the budget issue, there's only one way to do it, and that is
There
to bring in
that way,
commercial
yes.
property.
I'm not, you know, aware of the town of Kent, all right? I'm aware that we could go forward. This is what was my idea tonight. We got this budget, it's terrible. What can we do forward? Yes, I agree, more commercial property, but you have to balance it with environmental factors. You
Yeah,
don't want
without
this
dragging
world.
feet.
And that's
Exactly.
it.
Thank
And
you.
plus other DOTs, DECs, all of this get,
Yeah, every town has that, but this town drags their feet.
well, that was, I'm on the board. Let's see what happens.
I know you're on the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I think that we've
gotta
we've
get on.
exhausted this conversation, so I think I make a motion to close the public hearing for the budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a resolution for the budget in there? Okay,
It's in
can
your
someone
package.
please read it?
Sean, you read it.
You got it?
No.
No, I got it. I make a motion to pass a resolution to adopt the 2025 budget.
Quiet, please.
Whereas on October 29th, is that right? 2024, the Town Board of the Town of Kent duly held a public hearing on the preliminary budget for the fiscal year 2025, which public hearing was held over to November 12th, 2024, at which time the public was invited to attend and be heard. And whereas the Town Board heard all persons desiring to be heard in the matter, and the matter of the budget for the town for the fiscal year was fully discussed and considered by the Town Board, now therefore be it resolved that the final budget as incorporated herein and made a part hereof is hereby adopted as the annual budget of the Town of Kent for the fiscal year beginning the first day of January 2025, and that such budget as so adopted be entered in detail in the minutes of the Town Board. And it is further resolved, the Town Clerk of the Town of Kent, Yolanda D. Capelli, shall prepare and certify in duplicate copies of said annual budget as adopted by this Town Board and deliver one copy thereof to the Town Supervisor, Jamie McGlasson, to be presented by her to the Putnam County Board of Legislators. I make this motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Like the rest of you, I'm not thrilled with this budget. It's a difficult time and difficult decisions had to be made. But I am not going to walk away from my role and responsibility in this. Our supervisor had the entire board engaged right from the start, and so therefore I am going to vote in support of this budget. I see no alternative. So I vote aye.
Councilman Tempori.
I say the same thing that Councilwoman Campbell says. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. Unfortunately, that's what the day and age we live in. Aye.
Councilman Ruthven.
Aye.
Councilman Boyd.
Aye.
Supervisor McGlasson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into the actual meeting. I'm going to look through it and see what, we have a meeting again next Tuesday, so I'm gonna look through and just see what we can table for the next meeting, just so everyone knows. So if you see it on here and we're skipping it, it's not that we're trying to get around it. I just think tonight's not the night to be going through
Okay,
everything.
so just make one resolution and let me know which ones you're tabling.
Okay, well, let's
Technically, it's postponing
postponing, I'm sorry, postponing.
to time certain.
Why don't we let Richie stayed, let's let Richie, why don't you come up and,
Can't we just read them?
Yeah, she said Richie. I'm sorry. Want that new truck,
since you're here and you stayed, we'll let,
It's an hour past my bedtime.
it's more than an
Do you want
hour.
them just to read the resolutions, or do you need to do a presentation?
Well, I know there's gonna be a question.
Are you sure?
There's nobody here anymore, they're all leaving.
If there's no questions, we'll just read it.
Read it.
Has anybody got a question on any of the highway stuff?
We're auctioning, we're scrapping, and we're going out for your yearly bids.
But I just want to just clarify.
Okay.
That the adopted budget is not going to pay for these vehicles. These vehicles are going to be paid for by a combination of FEMA money that's reimbursing us because they were abused during the storms, possibly some of my CHIPS money, and the auction money. So they're going to be paid for in a combination, but it's not coming from the budget money. It's going to come from other lines. I know that would be a question.
All right, I'm gonna start with this one. So first up, we're gonna advertise for your 2025 annual bids. Whereas the Town of Kent Highway Superintendent wishes to advertise for annual bids for service and materials regularly used by the Highway Department. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Kent wishes to authorize its Town Clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for bids for highway services and materials. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby authorizes its Town Clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for annual bids for highway services and materials. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I didn't see that one.
I know.
That was at the end. It's
Oh.
in there.
I don't know what happened to the package.
Okay, that one's done.
I did this one.
I can do one of these two.
I make a motion to, all right, got it. Make a motion to authorize, to offer a truck for sale for the Highway Department, whereas by letter dated October 29, 2024, the Town of Kent Highway Superintendent, as confirmed by letter dated October 25th, 2024, from Matt Kiernan, Chief Mechanic of Municipal Repairs, has advised that the following equipment has reached the end of its useful life. Highway truck number 22, a 2004 Chevy Suburban, VIN 3GNGK26U84G303308. Highway truck number 54, 2013 Chevy 3500 one-ton dump truck, VIN 1GB3KZC83DF158109. A highway skid steer number 75, a 2019 Bobcat with all attachments, VIN B47C13764. And highway excavator number 76, a 2021 Bobcat, VIN B4NM11097092222021. Hereinafter will be collectively referred to as the equipment. And whereas the town board wishes to authorize the highway department to use the services of Auctions International to offer the equipment for sale to third parties, or if there are no purchasers, to scrap the equipment in exchange for its metal value. And whereas the funds received from the equipment, the highway department wishes to purchase the following new equipment for the following rates. A CAT 299D3 XE skid steer, $75,000 max. A CAT 308 CR excavator, $70,000 max. And a Dodge Ram 500 one-ton for $148,108.30. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Kent authorizes the Town of Kent Highway to offer the equipment for sale at auction, and if said equipment does not sell, to scrap the equipment for its metal value. And be it further resolved, the Town Board authorizes the purchase of a CAT 299D3 XE skid steer, a CAT 308 CR excavator, and a Dodge Ram 500 one-ton at the prices indicated above. I make that motion.
Quick question before we vote. I think in the past, sometimes we word it that we go for whichever gives you the most return.
Yes.
And that's not worded that way here. I just want to make sure you have the flexibility that if the scrap would actually be better than the auction, that you would do the
Yes.
scrap?
I have trade-in prices already, but we're going to auction them before. Yes, of course, I will.
Okay, so as whichever shows the best value, scrapping or selling. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do you
Madam
want to just,
Supervisor?
Are we skipping this one?
no, if Richie's here,
We're
yes.
here, might as well.
The one for municipal repairs?
Yep, we're gonna do it right now.
Okay, because the Auction International, when he comes down to take the photos,
Yep.
does them all at once.
So for municipal repairs, they have some sanitation trucks and Lake Carmel Park District trucks that have reached the end of their life. So we're also going to offer that on the Auctions International. So I make a motion to authorize, to offer items for sale through Auctions International, Inc. Whereas by letter dated October 25th, 2024, Matt Kiernan, Chief Mechanic of Municipal Repairs, has requested to dispose of the following equipment for the sanitation and Lake Carmel Park Department. Sanitation 19, a 2011 Mack MRU 613. Do I need to read the VIN numbers?
I was just gonna say, you don't have to read the
The VIN numbers mean nothing to anyone,
You're
so.
doing a great job, though.
We're doing, okay.
Keep going,
We're not
don't
reading the
stop.
VIN numbers. So a 2011 Mack MRU 613, a Sanitation 201, a 2010 Chevy Silverado 3500, Lake Carmel Park District 15, a 2008 Chevy Silverado 3500 HD, Lake Carmel Park District 70, a 1999 Kubota B7300, and number 16, 149, I don't know, okay. And Lake Carmel Park District Shore Conveyor 5220. Whereas the town board wishes to authorize municipal repairs to use the services of Auctions International to offer the equipment for sale to third parties, or if there are no purchasers, to scrap the equipment in exchange for its metal value, whichever has more value to the town. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent authorizes municipal repairs to offer the equipment for sale through Auctions International. And be it further resolved that if the offer of sale through Auctions International results in no sale of the equipment, or if the scrap is worth more, then it will be on Auctions International, but that's the way we're gonna go. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I just wanted, Matt wanted me to make sure I convey this to you. Sanitation 201 and Lake Carmel Park District number 15, they have to be replaced before they're sold. He just wanted to get them on the list. Well, auctions is coming down, but that's another whole matter with you guys.
Okay. We have to, okay.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Madam Supervisor, before we do these, 10 seconds, please. Rich, I know the audience is not here. Thank you very much for your work on the bridge. Excellent job.
Thank you, and Deb too. They all,
Thank you.
it was a team effort.
Okay. Okay, we are going to also do the EMS for tonight, just because we really need to start getting everything
Yep.
rolling with the hiring. So tonight, we're hiring employees. We are also going into an agreement for the air gas, which is the oxygen, and uniforms for the EMS department and the radio installation. This has all gone out, and we've gotten the 3 best prices, and tonight we're awarding the companies with the best prices of the 3. You wanna read one?
I'll do the 2 I got in my hand, I've lost the
Okay.
rest. I make a resolution to approve an agreement with Air Gas for the town of Kent EMS, whereas in connection with the establishment of the town of Kent EMS, and consistent with the town procurement policy, the town board of the town of Kent has requested proposals for the purchase of medical grade O2, and whereas according to Alex Roner, EMS coordinator, Air Gas is a sole source provider in that no other companies deliver medical grade O2. And whereas the town board wishes to accept a proposal of Airgas consistent with the terms contained in the proposal and at the price set forth in said proposal, now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the proposal of Airgas to deliver medical grade O2 to the town of Kent EMS, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary action to give effect to this resolution. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to adopt a resolution to hire emergency medical technicians for the town of Kent EMS. Whereas in connection with the establishment of the town of Kent EMS, the town board wishes to hire emergency medical technicians, EMTs, to fill the open positions. And whereas by email dated November 7th, 2024, Alex Roner, EMS coordinator, has recommended the hiring of George Clark, Lisa Madsen, Matthew Anaya, and Kendi Briggs as part-time EMTs. And whereas the town board wishes to accept Ms. Roner's recommendations and hire Mr. Clark, Ms. Madsen, Mr. Anaya, and Ms. Briggs. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby hires George Clark as part-time EMT at a rate of $20 per hour effective November 13th, 2024. Lisa Madsen as part-time EMT at a rate of $20 per hour effective November 13th, 2024. Matthew Anaya as part-time EMT at a rate of $20 per hour effective November 14th, 2024. And Kendi Briggs as per diem EMT at a rate of $20 per hour effective November 14th, 2024, subject to satisfactory completion of all required drug tests and mandatory background checks. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary action to give effect to this resolution. I make that motion.
Second.
So just for clarification, the reason that we have different start dates for everyone is because of the civil service list. The way to get them is they have to have different start dates, so that's why there's different start dates. So, okay, sorry, all in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the purchase of uniforms for Town of Kent EMS. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Kent is in receipt of an email dated November 7th, 2024 by Alex Roner, EMS Coordinator, to purchase uniforms for the Town of Kent EMS Department. The uniforms, a copy of which request is annexed hereto and incorporated herein by reference. And whereas consistent with the town procurement policy and general municipal law, Ms. Roner solicited quotes for the uniforms and received 3 in response. And whereas Ms. Roner recommends that the town accept a proposal of Proper to provide the uniforms, with the quote being held through December 31st, 2025. And whereas the town board of the town of Kent accepts the recommendation of Ms. Roner and the proposal of Proper to provide uniforms consistent with its terms, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and approves the purchase of the uniforms from Proper consistent with the terms of the proposal, and be it further resolved the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Make a final resolution authorizing the purchase of radio installations for the town of Kent EMS. Whereas the town board of the town of Kent is in receipt of a letter of an email dated November 7th, 2024 from Alex Roner, EMS Coordinator, to purchase and obtain the installation of a radio system in connection with the development of the town of Kent EMS. The radio system, a copy of which request is annexed hereto and incorporated herein by reference. And whereas consistent with the town procurement policy and general municipal law, Ms. Roner solicited quotes for the radio system and received 3 in response. Whereas Ms. Roner recommends that the town accept the proposal of New York Communications Company, Inc., NICOMCO, to provide the radio system, as the system will work with the Putnam County radio systems. And whereas the town board of the town of Kent accepts the recommendation of Ms. Roner and the proposal of NICOMCO to provide the radio systems for the town of Kent EMS. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and approves the purchase of the radio system from NICOMCO for the purchase price of $3,422.90. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, guess we might as well do the
Yes, printer.
the printer contract for the PD. So, I received an email from the chief asking us that they need new printers over down at the police department. So, the best price was with the Toshiba Business Solutions at an overall cost of $6,189.04. It's to be spread over 60 months at $103.15 per month. They need new printers, so I ask the board to approve this tonight.
I can do that one if you want.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing copier printer contract for the Town of Kent Police Department. Whereas the Town of Kent Police Department is in need of copier printer services, and whereas Chief Owens has provided a proposal from Toshiba to provide 2 Toshiba ES25288 printers through the New York State Contract Deferred Payment Plan, contract number PT681351, and whereas the town's procurement policy exempts from competitive bidding purchase contracts over $20,000 that are made under state contracts pursuant to the general municipal law, and whereas the town wishes to authorize the town supervisor to execute a contract for the printers from Toshiba Business Solutions at the overall cost of $6,189.04 to be paid over 60 months at $103.15 per month. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby accepts the proposal of Toshiba Business Solutions for the purchase of the above referenced printers on a deferred payment plan and authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are going to postpone the discussion on the Crest application till next week. So you're up for vouchers.
I ask the board to approve the following vouchers from November 12th, 2024. Stefan Beffrey, $2,100 for invasive species project. Semco Water, $4,530.42 for Water District Number 1. Shamong Supply, $14,897.25 for snowplow parts. Civic Plus, $5,062.82 for web mitigation. Extreme Designs, $5,400 for ambulance wrap. Federal Eastern International, $8,118 for police ARPA, paid on October 17th. GAR Associates, $35,000 for contract billing reassessment. GenServe, $10,630.72 for generator rental. Global Montello Group, $7,138.32 for diesel, $4,372.23 for gas. Home Depot, $4,721.10 for the dugout. Kingston Equipment Rental, $399,969 for the Lake Carmel Bridge. Magna 5 MS, $7,552.50 for network support. Managed Technologies, $2,769.24 for IT support from October 21st through November 3rd, and $2,769.24 for IT support from November 4th through November 17th. Millennium Strategies, $3,500 for grant services. Laura Roberts, $3,780 for the October prosecutor. Schnabel Engineering, $45,580 for the Lake Carmel Dam. State Comptroller, $26,678 for Justice Court for September. Town of Kent Municipal Repair, $2,877.04 for Lake Carmel chargebacks. $22,871.92 for highway chargebacks. Westchester Tractor, $3,978.32 to service the Bandit. Wind Waste, $8,877.25 for Lake Carmel garbage, $8,450.58 for Lake Carmel garbage, $5,927.09 for Lake Carmel garbage, and I'm adding Royal Carding, $6,398.11 for recycling. I ask the board to approve as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mention something about the highway department putting out the fires that we had.
Yes, so we do want to thank we had, as everyone probably knows, because we're in a burn ban right now, we had some pretty bad fires in the town of Kent. We want to thank our highway department that had to help over the weekend and stuff. Richie was there, some of the guys were there, and also our volunteers that were there helping, because from what I'm told is that even paid people that work for the state wouldn't go to the fire, but our volunteers were there and our highway department was there. So we thank them very much for that. We're gonna keep the announcements short for this week just because it's late, but next week for next Tuesday's meeting, AJ Reyes, who is the lake manager for Lake Carmel, will be here doing a presentation. It's, so come in if you live in Lake Carmel so you can find out what's going on at the lake. That's all I have.
Good.
I'm going to set library for next week.
We are in a drought.
Yes, do not burn anything.
Excuse my Mr. Burns evil thing there, but maybe, hopefully, you'll allow me to put something on the website about wells and the best way you can help protect your well from going dry and stuff like that. Obviously, I know wells pretty well, and we all have them. So hopefully coming to the website.
But also with the burn ban, so no open burning, but that also means that not condoning smoking. No one should be smoking. It's bad for you. But don't flick your cigarette butts out the window because that's how a lot of these fires are started. They're not necessarily the fire pits that are starting. It's the what are people are throwing out their cars. So, okay.
Make a motion?
Yeah, make it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Public comment?
Oh, sorry.
No!
All right, second, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.